Well, hello, Hearth and homies. Just wanted to wish you a happy Thanksgiving. And even if Thanksgiving isn't an official holiday wherever you are, nothing wrong with just taking time to give thanks. So this compilation is all about celebrating Thanksgiving. And what better way to do it than with some old-fashioned detective shows and a couple westerns thrown in. I know for me, I just want to say that I'm thankful. I'm thankful to God for all the blessings that He gives in life. And I'm thankful for this channel, and I'm thankful for you guys. If you're watching this, I'm very thankful that you're taking the time to do that and that this brings some enjoyment to you. Thanks so much for being a part of our little growing community here on YouTube. We have taken these classic old-time radio shows, paired them with a beautiful fireplace for a unique old-time radio viewing experience with the OTR visual radio. So sit back and relax and enjoy the fire, gather with friends and family, or just grab a cup of tea and a whole turkey and sit back and relax and enjoy the show. And as always, thanks for tuning in.
The Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
Say, Casey, do you think they'll ever put my statue in the Hall of Fame?
What are you famous for, Ethelbert?
For 27 straight years, I always got the same part of the turkey. That's some kind of a record, ain't it?
Well, because you consistently get it in the neck, that might make you notorious, but not really famous.
No, Ethelbert. You know, you have to do something really big, something important to deserve a famous name.
Like what?
Well, like Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Written by Alonzo Dean Cole, our adventure for tonight, After Turkey, the Bill. 7 o'clock in the evening, a medium-priced uptown restaurant known as Petrarchus's Olympian. At a table for two, a flashily dressed young man pushes aside his empty plate and says to the pretty girl who sits opposite,
Hey, that turkey wasn't half bad.
You didn't leave much of it.
Neither did you. Shall I order dessert now?
Uh-huh.
Hey, waiter. Gus,
Okay, kid. What do you want now, Joe?
we're ready for the plum pudding now.
2 plums pudding.
That's what you want, too, isn't it, Lottie?
Yes, and coffee.
Same here.
Okay, kid.
I don't know why you won't let me do anything for you in a classy way, Lottie. I asked you out for a Thanksgiving spread, and you made me bring you to a cheap place like this.
Joe, you can't afford to throw your money away.
Well, you know what I can afford. I may not have as good a job as my cousin Bird yet, but it doesn't
What's
mean
Bird got to do with
He's
it?
got plenty to do with it. If you didn't have to work today, you'd be out with him now instead of me, I know.
Bird isn't working tonight, Joe. He came home before we left there. I could have had dinner with him if I'd wanted.
Yeah.
Oh, don't be like that, please.
Why shouldn't I be? While I was away, you and him became awful good friends.
We were always friends, the three of us. We grew up on the same block.
Yeah, but while I was away, he moved into your old man's rooming house so we could be closer friends.
Oh, don't start that again tonight. We're out for a pleasant evening, and it has been pleasant so far. Please, Joe.
All right. Comes out dessert.
2 plums pudding. And coffee.
You know, when you go out with me, Lottie, you're going to get class whether you think I can afford it or not. I'm going to take you to Dance Land. I'm going to buy you a whole roll of tickets. Best you'd get out of that tightwad fur is a soda and a movie. All right, that's all now, Gus. Bring me a check with you.
You said it, Joe.
All right, Joe, since you won't drop the subject, we'll talk about Bird.
Swell.
He wants me to marry him.
Figured that from that dirty double-crosser.
He isn't a double-crosser.
He knows I've been going with you since we were kids, that I've always been crazy about you. And while I was taking that bum rap on the reformatory...
You didn't take a bum rap, Joe. You asked for what you got.
All right, so the cops had the goods on me. That gave Bird no right
It
to...
gave me a right to do a lot of thinking.
So you decided a sneaky yellow drip like my cousin is a better bet than me, huh?
I don't think Bird is sneaky or yellow.
Oh, you don't, huh?
No. And I don't think you're a criminal.
Nice of you to say that.
I'm not being nice. I'm saying what I believe. If you make me sure you've learned your lesson,
Yeah?
you won't have to worry about me liking Ferd or anyone. There's never really been anybody but you, Joe. Only I've got to be sure.
How do I make you sure, Lottie?
Just show me and Dad that you're steady, that's all.
And I've been showing you that since I came back. Didn't I get a job right away?
Yes, Joe, but I don't see how you can afford those 2 new suits and that overcoat with what you're making.
Oh, I get it. Bird can buy clothes or take you out, and it's okay, isn't it? He's never had trouble with the cops. But the minute I spend an extra buck, you and your old man figure I've glummed it somewhere.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. Your old man especially. Hates my insides. He don't want you to have anything to do with it.
If Dad hated you, he wouldn't let you stay at our rooming house.
He rents rooms and I pay for the one I rent. That's business. And to ease your mind about the extra dough I spent, Lottie, I'm a lucky guy with dice and a good pool player.
Here's your check, kid.
Thanks, Gus. Pay you so we can get out of here. We're going to Dance Land. What?
Joe?
I haven't got my wallet.
Oh, you've lost your money?
I don't know. Maybe I left it home.
Well, phone Dad. He'll look in your room.
Well, if he found it, I'd have to go there for it. It's only a few blocks. You stay here, Lottie, while I go.
Oh, you don't have to leave the lady here, kid. You're an old customer. I know you come back and pay.
Well, thanks, Gus, but I can make better time alone. Hand me my overcoat, even that racket sleeve blue in there.
Sure. Oh, it's a fancy coat. Nice and bright with red stripes. You got a class, kid.
Yeah, but right now I got no dough. I'll come back as soon as I can, Lottie.
I hope you find your money.
Yeah,
Joe.
I hope so, too. And how?
Gee, Casey, it's nice of you and Miss Williams to have Thanksgiving dinner here in the Blue Note with me.
We're nice people, Ethelbert.
Well, the very best. True, warm-hearted, and generous to a fault. Pass the salt,
Also
Paul.
honest, kind, and steadfast. Here's the salt. And
Sure.
pepper.
You know, we're really understating our sterling qualities, Annie. We've risen to the heights of magnanimity, whatever that is, by chewing Thanksgiving turkey in this crummy joint we see every day, simply because our little pal here had to work. He could only get away from his bartending long enough to grab a meal on the house. We hope you appreciate our sacrifice, Ethelbert.
Oh, I do.
Good. Pardon my reach for the Tabasco. To prove your gratitude, Ethelbert, you can pay for our dinners.
Yeah, well...
Tabasco, Annie?
Huh?
Thanks. Hey, you've made a splendid suggestion, Casey. Paying our bill will relieve Ethelbert of a small part of his obligation for our company.
Yep.
Say, come to think of it, you two are working today yourselves. You didn't have time to get a full meal any further away from your office than this crummy joint.
Ethelbert, you impugn our motives. He destroys my faith in human nature. Casey.
Yes. The spirit of the day is entirely lost upon this lug.
Casey, if you'd pay me what you already owe this crummy joint, I'd be only too happy to buy you dinner. Get it, Walter?
This guy's too wise for us, Annie.
I'm afraid so, Casey.
Casey,
Yeah, Walter?
you wanted the bar phone, you said you did.
Oh, nuts. I'm only just finished my turkey.
No, this means no dessert, Casey.
I'll see what Burke wants.
Well, stall him off if you can.
Yeah, I'll do my best, Annie. Hello, Grace. Hello, Casey speaking. Look, Burke, we haven't finished our dinner yet. Oh, all right. Wait till I get my pencil. Corner of Whitestone and Evans. Well, what happened there? What, is that all? For a run-of-the-mill story like that, we gotta leave our dessert? Well, okay, Burke, all right, goodbye. Why I stick to this newspaper racket, I don't know.
What was it, Casey?
All the Look, we gotta get out to Whitestone and Evans, Ann. Some mug just held up a filling station there and got away with a couple of $100.
Did he shoot anyone?
No.
Huh?
Just one of those inside page fillers. Burke says news is light and we gotta cover it.
All right, where is Whitestone and Evans?
Way uptown, not far from Petrakis Olympian Restaurant. You know, we've eaten there a couple of times.
Yeah, I remember. Any description of the hold-up guy?
Yeah, he wore a flashy blue overcoat with red stripes. See you later, pal.
So long, Ethelbert.
So long. Say, wait! Who's gonna pay for this crummy joint?
Our story will continue in just a moment. In mansion or cottage, in city or town, Thanksgiving Day is a time for family reunions, feasting, and fun. But through all the gaiety, there runs a deep note of real thanksgiving for blessings past and present. There's a tacit recognition that a better-fed nation is a stronger, happier nation. And one of the ways in which the American way has made its greatest progress is in the production, preparation, and distribution of food. Now, take the matter of delivering food alone. The great organizations who process and ship us our better foods know that flavor, purity, and freshness are best preserved by clean, sanitary glass. And that's why, as you look around the shelves of your food stores, you see that so many famous brands are brought to you in gleaming, protective containers made of glass. Containers that preserve and safeguard flavor and taste while they permit you to see in advance exactly what you're buying. It's noteworthy that many of the leading brands of food of all kinds come to you in Anchor glass containers, sealed with tamper-proof Anchor caps. Products of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
Here's what happened, Miss Williams. I'm working the station, see? I'm here in the office when this hold-up guy opens the door and says, "Give me your dough."
He had a gun, of course.
Oh, sure, he had a gun. The time was about 7:15.
What did you notice
And
about the guy aside from his flashy overcoat?
Well, he wore his hat pulled down over his eyes, and a handkerchief was tied around the lower part of his face. Also, he worked fast.
What'd he do?
Well, he told me to get into the the restroom there and to keep quiet. He locked the door on me, and I heard him open up the money drawer there, and then I heard him leave the joint. I started pounding on the door, and after a while, I managed to bust out. That was about 7:15, and then I phoned the cops.
You mind if I shoot a picture of that busted door, Sergeant?
Go ahead, Casey.
Thanks.
You'll want to picture me, too, won't you, Mr. Casey?
Huh? You? Oh, sure, yeah. The door and you. I'll shoot the door first.
It's going to give me old lady a big kick to see me written up on the papers.
Hey, was this big puddle of grease in front of this door, Jones, when the hold-up guy locked you in?
Oh, yeah. I spilled it there earlier, and I didn't have time to clean it up.
Now, the mug must have stepped in it, Casey. Along with the description of his flashy coat I've sent out, I included instructions to look for a guy with dirty grease stains on his shoes.
Well, the two things together ought to nail him, Sergeant.
Yeah, I told the sergeant here's something else that ought to nail a guy.
What's that?
Well, one of the bills he stole out of the money drawer was an old 20 that had been torn in two and kind of stuck together with Scotch tape. I took it in just before the robbery, so I remember it.
Well, looks like you cops have plenty to work on, Sarge.
Yeah.
Well, we got all there is, Annie. Let's blow out of here, get back to the Blue Note, get some plum pudding and coffee.
Aha, come on.
Hey, ain't you going to take my picture first?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'll kind of stand here by the empty cash drawer, and point my finger at it.
Yeah, that'll be original. Well, stand and point, pal. Go ahead.
Great.
All set now. Shoot. Jones. Hey, Gus, I'm getting my picture took. Don't walk in front of the camera.
I have just heard what happened to you. About that guy in the blue overcoat which holds you up.
Well, I'll tell you all about that later, Gus. As soon as I get my picture.
No, I tell you and those cops about it now.
You'll tell.
Who are you?
Oh, I am Gus Nikopopoulos. I am waiter in Petrakis Olympian restaurant 3 blocks from here. And I know who is the kid who robbed my good friend Jones.
You know?
Yeah, I know as soon as I am told the news about that fancy overcoat.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
I tell you cops everything. Even where to find this hold-up kid. He tell me he is going with his girl to Dunsland.
You got no right to put me off that dance floor, copper.
Don't believe this waiter, Sergeant. Joe hasn't held up anybody.
We're going to see about that. Close the door, will you, Casey?
Okay, Sarge.
Now, this overcoat we got from the check room, it's yours, isn't it, Bowers?
Yeah, that's my coat.
And you, Jones. Say the guy who stuck you up wore a coat just like it?
It's the same coat, Sergeant.
You're nuts. The store I bought this blanket had a couple of dozen just like it.
Now, take it easy, kid. If your story's okay, we'll check on everyone who owns a coat like this. I'm going to search you. While I'm at it, you can tell us what you did after leaving Petraka's restaurant. After you couldn't find your wallet, I mean.
I went straight to my room and house. I looked for my dough. Finally, I found it in the dresser drawer. And I came straight back to Petrakis for Lottie. That's Miss Newcomb here.
Yeah.
The dough's in that wallet you just took out of my pocket. It's about $40, and it's mine. I didn't steal it.
Hey, is that torn 20 in the wallet, Sergeant?
No, Jones.
Torn 20.
I guess he hasn't got a gun on him either, Sarge.
He's clean, Casey.
Yeah, so are his shoes.
grease would show up plain on those light tans.
Well, he may have changed shoes and hidden a few things.
Yeah. How far is your rooming house from that filling station, kid?
Oh, I'd say...
It's 2 blocks away down Evans Street. My father runs it.
How long did Joe leave you in Petracas's while he was finding his money?
I didn't time
It
it.
wasn't more than 15 minutes, maybe a half an hour. So what?
So you had plenty of time to stick up Jones and go to your room before you came back to Petracas.
All right, if that's the way you dope it, copper, search my room.
I'm going to do that little thing, young fella. All of you. Let's go.
Lottie, why have you and Joe come home with all these people and these policemen?
Everything's all right, Dad. They made a mistake about Joe, but it's going to be all right.
A mistake about
A
Joe?
big mistake, Mr. Newcomb.
I don't understand.
I'm Sergeant Healy, 5th Detective District. There was a stick-up a few blocks from here tonight, and Joe Bowers here is under suspicion.
A stick-up? Joe?
He didn't do it, Dad. I know he didn't.
You were with him, Lottie. You must know.
Your daughter wasn't with him for a long half hour. Mr. Newcomb, I haven't taken time to get a search warrant, so I'd like your permission to go over Joe's room.
Give him a go-ahead. I have. He'll find nothing to tie me up with any heist job.
All right with you, sir?
Oh, yes, of course.
Thanks. Take me to your room, Bowers.
Come on.
Everybody else stay here with this uniformed officer.
Miss Williams and I'd like to go with you and Joe, Sarge.
Okay, Casey.
Oh, thanks, Sergeant.
My room's on the next floor. It's right up those stairs.
Well, lead the way, kid. And don't try anything tricky.
Why should I try anything? All you got on me is that a stick-up guy wore an overcoat like mine. And that's all you're gonna get. There's the door of my room, copper. Open it. Make yourself at home.
Give me your key.
The door isn't locked. I never bother. I'll turn on the lights. Now do your stuff.
I will.
You won't find anything locked up here. 'Cause I got nothing worth stealing. And nothing to hide. Now, if you were going to work on my cousin's room across the hall, you'd need a fistful of keys. He's one of those careful, secretive guys.
You got a cousin living across the hall?
Yeah, his name's Bird, or Ferdinand. And is he a crumb?
I figure you don't like him.
I like him about as much as he likes me, maybe more. But he's been making a play for my girl. He isn't getting anywhere. How you doing, copper? You see anything of the dough I'm supposed to have stolen, or the gat you think I use in that stick-up?
Not yet, kid.
And you won't. I'm 100% in the clear.
Oh, yeah? How did this get under your carpet?
What?
A torn $20 bill.
Stuck together with scotch tape.
I never saw that bill before.
And I think Jones will identify it as the one taken from his cash drawer.
Wait a minute. There's more dough under this rug, Sarge. A couple of $100 at least.
I spotted it, Casey.
I don't know how it got there. I didn't pull that stick up.
Cut the comedy, Joe. This money nails
This
you.
is a frame-up. I tell you, it's a
Where'd
frame-up.
you hide your gun?
I never had a gun. I swear I did.
Come clean, kid. Where's the gun?
Wait a minute. Will you give me a break? Let me think. Let me think a minute. Yeah. Yeah, there's just one mug who'll pull a thing like this. And if you're right, guys, you won't let him get away with it. Question Ferd, Sergeant. Question my cousin Ferd. His room's right across the hall.
Might be a good idea, Sarge.
Okay. Let's go over.
There's the room.
Yes? I'd like to talk to you a minute. This is the police.
Just a second. I'm just starting to get ready for bed.
I'm Detective Sergeant Healy, young man. This is Miss Williams and, Mr. Casey.
Are you?
Hello there. What do you want?
Let me close this door. Your cousin Joe here has made some accusations against you that it's my duty to investigate.
Oh, he has he?
Do you own an overcoat like Joe's here? Blue with red stripes?
An overcoat like that?
Have you ever worn one?
I wouldn't wear a zoot blanket like that if you paid me.
You say?
Yes, I say.
Mind if I look around your room?
Why?
Bert, someone wearing an overcoat like Joe's held up the Whitestone filling station tonight. And...
What?
You know where I bought this coat, Ferd. I think you got one just like it on the QT. I think you slipped my wallet out of my pocket just before I left here with Lottie tonight, so I'd have to leave her and look for it. You were watching the restaurant when I left it. You went to that filling
Why,
station.
you're crazy. Sergeant, you can't believe
Maybe
it.
I don't. But I want to search your room.
Oh, wait a minute.
Huh?
Have you got a search warrant?
No.
Then get out of here.
Say.
I know my rights. Unlike a certain relative of mine, I've got a clean record.
Who are you calling a lousy
You,
rat?
Joe.
Why, I'll knock
And
your
if-
teeth out.
Cut it up. Cut it, both of you. So you don't want me to search your room, hey, young fella?
You heard me before, Sergeant.
Hey, pal, wait a minute. You're taking the wrong attitude. You got nothing to hide. This isn't the way to show it.
He's got a good reason for saying you can't search, and I'm going to prove it.
Keep out of that closet, Joe.
Make me if you can. I'll make you hold it first. Let me go.
Come
Let
on
me go.
there, Joe. I'll get a warrant.
You won't need a warrant, Sarge. Look there. In
What?
the back of his closet, covered with other clothes.
Oh. An overcoat like yours.
Just like mine.
And in its pocket, there's a gun.
I never saw that coat before. I never saw that gun.
Well, somebody did. Come on. I'm taking you both to headquarters.
I don't know how that overcoat got in my closet, Sergeant. I swear I never saw it or that gun before.
So you've been saying for it. Both of you get into this car.
You did this to me, Joe.
Sure, I got wise to your frame up, you louse. I threw it right back at you.
We'll continue our discussion at the station house.
Of course, you'll only hold me long enough to get my testimony. I'll be back home in an hour or so.
Maybe. You and Miss Williams tagging along after us, Casey?
No, Sarge. I may give you a buzz later, though.
We still have our Thanksgiving dinner to finish.
So why don't you two get jobs that won't make you work on holidays?
Why don't you?
You mean like Captain Logan?
I've been thinking about it for the last 25 years. Good night.
Night,
Go on.
Sergeant Healy. Come on, let's get in our car, Casey. And get our stuff to the
I'm
paper.
going
and...
back to that rooming house, Annie.
Why?
Are you convinced that Cousin Bird framed Cousin Joe?
Well, his attempt to prevent a search of his room didn't look very good.
Annie, just thinking.
No. Joe found that overcoat with what might be called surprising ease.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to believe that Joe would invite his own arrest in order to frame his cousin. Why, one little slip.
The framer, whoever he is, did make a slip, Annie. His plan didn't anticipate a grease puddle. And he had to get rid of a pair of shoes that may walk back and kick him.
Well, none of the shoes in Joe's room or in Bird's had any grease stains on them.
No? Sergeant Healy hasn't forgotten those missing shoes, and he'll be back pretty soon to really look for them. So I'm going to start looking right now. I'll ring Newcomb's bell.
Sometimes I wish your snooping instincts were more restrained, Casey. I'd like a cup of coffee now and pop...
Hi, Mr. Newcomb.
Mr. Casey?
Yes, may we come in?
Of course, but
We didn't go with Sergeant Healy and his prisoners. Wanted to ask, how's your daughter now? She wasn't taking this thing very well when we left.
Oh, she feels terrible about it. Miss Williams, perhaps a woman can talk to her better than I can. Will you try to convince her that everything will come out all right?
Well, I'll gladly try, Mr. Newcomb.
She's in our private living room.
Yeah, go on in and talk to her alone, Annie. I'll stay here.
All right.
It breaks my heart to see my girl crying, Mr. Casey. She's all I have. She blames herself for what has happened. It isn't her fault that two young fools became so infatuated with her. I knew they hated each other, but I never anticipated anything like this.
No, guess not.
Of course, you had some reason for coming back here, Mr. Casey.
Yes, I came back to ask your permission.
Yes?
I want permission to ask a few personal questions between ourselves and off the record.
Very well.
You haven't wanted Joe for a son-in-law, have you?
In my place, would you? The boy has served a reformatory sentence that, according to my observation, has failed to steady him or improve his sense of values.
Bird has been Joe's opposite, I imagine.
He always seemed so.
Lottie strikes me as a pretty sensible girl, Mr. Newcomb. Unless one of those fellas confesses he framed the other, or it can be definitely proven, she'll doubt both of them too much to marry either one of them.
Yes, I think that's so.
And as there'll be no confession or definite proof, things should work out exactly as you planned.
As I planned?
You're the guy behind this double frame-up.
Oh, Mr. Casey.
You didn't think I'd be back, did you? You shouldn't have changed back into those comfortable old shoes after Sergeant Healy left here. You did a lousy job of cleaning off that grease.
Oh, but
you held up that filling station and framed both the boys to keep your daughter from marrying either one of them.
I was very foolish, wasn't I?
Yes, I think so. Shall I call Sergeant Healy?
All right. You can call Sergeant Healy, Mr. Casey. I'm ready to confess.
Wait a minute. Wait. Let me take a close look at those shoes.
What?
The pool of grease in that filling station you heard us talk about wasn't deep enough to reach far above the soles of a shoe. Hey. You've greased those shoes yourself. You spread it on so thick it covers the toes and heels.
I didn't spread it on.
Pal, you're a beautiful liar. And I'm a beautiful dope. You greased those shoes and put them on knowing the cops would come back and spot them. You were willing to take the rap. Because your kid is in love with one of those punks.
You can't prove that. Nobody can. And when I confess, that's all that's needed.
You forget. The police lab will compare the grease on these shoes with a filling station grease, and it won't be the same. And then Sergeant Healy will go right back to work on Joe and Ferd.
The police laboratory can tell?
Yes, definitely, Mr. Newcomb. But if it couldn't, don't you think your confession would be much harder for your daughter to take than the loss of a little rat she thinks she cares for?
But I couldn't bear to see her cry anymore. All I could think of to do was what I tried. You see, I know the guilty boy, Mr. Casey, and she's loved Joe ever since they were children.
You know Joe?
I found his grease-stained shoes hidden in the cellar tonight. His taste in shoes is like his taste in overcoats, so I could make no mistake.
Well, let's get him. Take him to the cops. Later, Mr. Newcomb, your daughter's going to realize that the lowdown she'll get on Joe tonight is a cause for real Thanksgiving.
We'll join the crowd at the Blue Note in just a moment.
This is Harry Marble to remind you how important the new Anchor Glass one-way no-deposit bottle is to your enjoyment of ale and beer. It's a custom-made container made just for you. No one has used it before, and no one ever will use it again. When you're through with it, you dispose of it as you would any other food container. There's no deposit, no fuss or bother. And the new Anchor Glass one-way bottle assures you of sparkling ale and beer without cloudiness and with no foreign flavor or aroma. Beer that's truly brewery bright. Most of the brewers of New England and those who ship ale and beer into New England have adopted this bottle for your protection and added convenience. For the Anchor Glass one-way bottle not only costs the brewer less than any other type of single-trip container, but it also gives you much more for your money. So here's a good rule. When buying ale and beer, always demand a glass bottle. And for extra convenience, demand your favorite brand in the new Anchor Glass one-way no-deposit bottle, a product of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass.
So, the shoes fit Joe and he had to wear them, huh, Casey?
They pinched so tight he cracked wide open, Ethelbert. He admitted planting a duplicate of his coat in Ferd's closet, everything.
If his scheme had worked, Lottie would never have spoke to Ferd again and she'd have married Joe.
Well, that was Joe's idea, Ethelbert, but it worked out in reverse. Lottie sank into Ferd's manly arms when she heard the lowdown, and she seemed very comfortable.
See what some guys will do for love. As my sister Edna says, quote, if love didn't make the world go round, there wouldn't be so much dizziness. Unquote.
Or so much niceness.
Yeah. A grand guy, Lottie's old man. Hey, Annie, what's the matter with us? We got plum pudding and coffee still coming to us. How about it, Ethelbert, huh?
Oh, it's about time.
Oh, what's so funny?
There isn't any more.
Crime Photographer, starring Stotts Cotsworth as Casey, is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King Oven Glass, Anchor Glass Containers, Anchor Caps and Closures, all products of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Photographer is directed by John Dietz. The original music is by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Jan Miner as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. Herman Chittison is the Blue Note pianist. If civilization is to survive, we must reaffirm our religious faith. It's up to each of us. Do your part by supporting and attending your church or synagogue. This is Tony Marvin saying goodnight for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, with offices in all principal cities of the United States and Canada. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The challenge of the Yukon.
On, King! On, you huskies!
The Wonder Dog King, swiftest and strongest of Eskimo lead dogs, blazes the trail through storm and snow for Sergeant Preston as he meets the challenge of the Yukon. Sergeant Preston was typical of the small band of Northwest Mounted Police who preserved law and order in the new Northwest country, where the greed for wealth and power led to frequent violence and bloodshed. But in spite of the odds against them, Sergeant Preston and his Wonder Dog King met that challenge, and justice ruled triumphant. Sergeant Preston stretched his feet toward the fireplace in Father McLean's cabin in Dawson. King, his big lead dog, lay down close beside him and watched the flickering flames through half-closed eyes. Father McLean eased his portly figure into the chair.
Giving is no excuse for eating as much as I did today. That dinner was too much of a temptation.
Well, it was a wonderful meal, Father. That cook of yours is a prize. I feel like I'd swallowed a whole deer.
It's a good thing Thanksgiving Day comes but once a year.
You were awfully nice to let me share your dinner with your father. It's not often I get food like that.
Yeah, the people in my church are very thoughtful of me on holidays. They bring food that one doesn't expect to get way up here in the North Country.
You know, Father, 2 years ago, I had dinner with another priest on Thanksgiving. Nothing like this one, though. His congregation was very bitter about him at the time.
Bitter? Had he done something wrong?
Well, they thought so. It's rather a long story, Father.
Well, what could be better than a story sitting here before the fire after dinner?
The priest was Father Haley. He left this part of the country before you arrived. He's the one who started the mission in Dawson.
Oh, yes, I've heard of him.
It was before they built the church that's there now. At the time, Father Haley was busy raising funds for it. He was a lovable old man, big fellow with twinkling blue eyes and a good sense of humor. He was very fond of dogs, too. And King was a big favorite of his. I'd been on a patrol north and was coming back to Dawson. About 10 miles from town, I was mushing along the trail, and suddenly I heard a dog.
Oh, King! Hello, you huskies!
Stay here, King. I'll see what's happening. Well, fellow, what's wrong? Oh, poor fellow. You stuck your foot right on my sled back to Dawson. He was a gentle dog, Father. Part setter and part shepherd. We never found out who owned him. Father Haley's cabin was on the trail near the outskirts of town. It was evening when I reached it. Father Haley held the door open while I carried the dog in.
Take him over there by the fire, Sergeant. Now I'll bring a lamp so we can have a look at him.
Well, lie down here, fella. That's it. Well, you got that bandage off, didn't you?
Yeah, now we can see. Well, he's licked it nice and clean, hasn't he?
Yes, I guess he can take care of it better than we can. I'm afraid he's going to lose 1 or 2 toes, though.
Well, I guess there's nothing more we can do for him except feed him.
It'll heal up all right, Father, if he stays off it a while.
You're going to leave him here with me, aren't you?
Why, that'll be fine if you want him. I have to leave town again tomorrow.
I'd be glad to have him. He's a nice dog. If his owner doesn't show up, I'll keep him permanently.
Well, Shep, you're a lucky dog.
He's wagging his tail. Maybe that's his name.
It's as good a name as any.
I'll call him that. He seems to like it. Now, let me warm up a cup of tea.
Oh, no, don't bother, Father Haley. You have enough to do taking care of Shep. Anyway, I'd better get into town.
You say you're going away again tomorrow?
Yes, I'll be away quite a few weeks, I think.
I wanted you to have Thanksgiving dinner with me, Sergeant.
Oh?
You think you'll be back by then? It's 3 weeks off.
Well, that's nice of you, Father. I'll do my best to get back.
We've been raising funds to build a new church, and I hope to have enough by then to warrant a special Thanksgiving celebration.
Well, that's encouraging. This town could certainly use a church. I'll try and get back for it. Now I guess I'd better go. I have to make a few stops in town before bedtime.
Well, Sergeant Preston. Hello, Sergeant. Glad to see you.
Hello, boys. How are you?
How are you? Just in time, Sergeant.
Huh?
We're taking up a contribution for the new church that Father Haley is planning to build.
Well, that's fine, Butch. I didn't know you were interested in church.
Butch started it by giving a whole bag of gold dust.
Gold Nugget Bar is a funny place to be doing it, but I'm all for it.
Think maybe you won't fry quite so long, huh, Pete?
We're going to need another half. This one's full. Sergeant, you better take this money out to Father Haley.
Well, sure, I'll be glad to.
I'll take it out if you're too busy.
Oh, I'll be going past his house tomorrow. I can drop it off.
Ain't staying in town for a while, Sergeant?
Have to make another patrol, Ben. Be leaving tomorrow or the next day.
Well, there's the money, Preston.
Oh, this is heavy. A lot of money here.
That's nothing to what he'll have in a week or two. This is just a started going. The whole town's chipping in. Sure.
I left the gold at Father Haley's cabin the next day. The collection had netted about $2,000. I was quite surprised that Butch Harvey had started such a thing. Butch was a newcomer in town, and I hadn't liked him from the first time we met.
I see.
There was nothing I could put my finger on exactly.
You Mounties must get quite good at judging men on sight.
Oh, I've been wrong about a lot of men, Father. My judgment isn't always right.
Well, we all make mistakes.
I decided I'd been wrong about Butch, and maybe he was doing this to prove to the town that he was all right.
And, was he?
No, Father. I left town the next day after leaving the money with Father Haley. My trip took me far south, and I wasn't around while the church fund built up. As I learned later, Butch and his partner Ben were very active getting collections, and the whole town contributed. 3 days before Thanksgiving, Father Haley had raised over $15,000. He was putting some gold into the box that evening when Shep scratched on the door. Father Haley put his parka on.
Well, you want to go out for a walk, Shep? I've been so busy today I didn't take you for your walk. All right, boy, go on out. I'll put on my things right away. I'm coming, boy, as soon as I put this box away. There. That ought to be all right.
Good evening, Father Haley.
Hey, Butch, I'm sorry I didn't hear you knock. Hello, Ben.
Hello, Father.
Sit down, boys. I was just going for a walk with Shep. Wait till I put this box away.
Don't put the box away.
Eh? Oh, did you bring another contribution?
Not exactly, Father. This time you're doing the contributing.
What do you mean?
Get the box, Ben.
Sure. Butch, you don't mean you're taking the church fund?
That's not all we're taking. You're coming with us.
What?
Here's the box. Take it out to the bed. Hey, come on, Father, before I get nervous and pull this trigger. Don't keep me waiting.
Father Haley went with them out into the dark. They tied him to the sled and drove off. Nobody noticed old Shep. The dog watched the sled disappear and then limped after it. The team outdistanced him quickly, but he kept on through the night, following the scent.
Did they intend to murder Father Haley?
Well, Butch would have, but Ben wouldn't agree with it. They argued about
it. You're crazy, Ben. He can find his way back, I tell you. It's getting light, he can see the trail.
We're going to turn off the trail, ain't we?
But he can see landmarks. He can follow our tracks back, too.
What's wrong with taking these glasses away from him? He can't see without them. I tell you, I won't murder a priest.
Oh, how you ask, sir?
All right. We'll turn off here and head for the mountains. I'll take his glasses off and we'll lose him in the hills. I don't see the difference. He'll die of starvation or freeze to death.
I got back to town the following day. The weather had been clear, and I made a special effort to spend Thanksgiving with Father Haley.
Had anyone discovered he was gone?
Oh, yes. The whole town was in an uproar. Some of the people thought Father Haley had run off with the money. Pete Darcy met me just as I came into town. He was very excited.
Sergeant Preston! Sergeant Preston!
Okay. Oh, you huskies. What's wrong, Pete?
Well, I'm sure glad you got back, Sergeant. Father Haley has disappeared with all the church money.
Disappeared? When?
Day before yesterday.
People think maybe he run off with it. Maybe he wasn't a priest at all.
That's ridiculous, Pete. He'd never go away unless someone forced him to. Were there any tracks around?
Well, lots of people have been in and out to see him. He lives near the trail that's well used.
Yes, I know.
Everyone's pretty mad about it. Everybody's giving lots of money to that fund.
Come along, Pete. We'll go to his cabin now and look it over.
You see, Sergeant, his park is gone, his fire's out, and the money's gone.
Yes. I wonder what became of Shep.
Shep?
The dog he had.
Oh.
He certainly wouldn't try to travel with a lame dog.
Nobody thought about the dog. He ain't had him very long.
Come on outside, Pete. Maybe we can still find Shep's tracks.
Your own dog has made tracks all over.
Here are Shep's. You see that front foot?
Yeah, he's lame. He doesn't put much weight on it, and it's crooked.
Here, King. These tracks, boy. Can you find him?
I'm afraid the trail is cold by this time, Sergeant.
Well, it hasn't snowed for 2 days. These tracks lead away from town. You could probably pick them up, but the snow hasn't been trampled. I'm going to try it, Pete.
You want me to come with you, Sergeant?
Why, no, I'll go alone. I'll take what supplies I can find in Father Haley's cabin here. Can't stop for more. Maybe a long trip. My team was tired, but we kept going. After a while, the trail of the dog was easier to follow. Shep's foot had started to bleed where the snow and ice had broken open the freshly healed cut.
You mean that dog kept right on going in spite of it?
He'd become very fond of Father Haley. When the tracks turned off the trail, it was easy to follow them. Shep, by then, was going on 3 legs.
When did you find Father Haley?
Well, not until the next evening. Shep had found him the night before. They were huddled together in a clump of spruce trees at the base of the mountain. Father Haley had no idea where he was. Here, Father, put this blanket around you. I'm glad you built a fire.
It isn't much of a fire. I had some matches in the pocket of my pocket.
Who did all this, Father?
But you did.
Oh?
They're going off for the gold. They took my glasses from me, and I couldn't find enough wood. If Shep hadn't come, I'd have frozen. We kept each other warm.
I found you by following Shep's tracks.
Yes, poor fellow. To drop when he found me. He dragged himself to me, his poor foot all bloody. Feed him first, Sergeant.
I will, Father. Now, you relax and don't worry about the church funds. I'll telegraph Butch and Ben's description to the border. They're headed for Eagle City. And now I'll get some food ready.
It's not the Thanksgiving dinner we had planned, is it, Sergeant?
No, it isn't, Father. But there's plenty to be thankful for.
Were the 2 thieves Butch and Ben caught?
They were caught at the border by one of our men. Most of the money was returned.
As Father Haley said, that must have been a rather slim Thanksgiving dinner you had that night.
Yes, 'twas, Father. But it's one I'll never forget. We sat at the base of the towering mountain. The moon glistened on the snow, and it was deathly still. Father Haley sat beside the flickering fire in his lap. He hadn't eaten for 2 days. But when I put his food in front of him, he didn't eat at once. He bowed his head and gave thanks. It wasn't a short prayer, and as he ended it, I felt a lump in my throat.
And I thank the Lord for sending Shep to me. Please grant me the faith and courage that is his, and help me to follow thee with an equal love and trust.
These copyrighted dramas originate in the studios of WXYZ Detroit, and all characters, names, places, and incidents used are fictitious. They are sent to you each week at this same time. This is Larry McCann speaking.
My name's Regan. I get 10 a day and expenses from a detective bureau run by a guy named Anthony J. Lyon. They call me the Lion's Eye.
This Jack Webb is Jeff Regan, the Lion's Eye. Stand by for hard-boiled action and mystery and thrilling adventure in tonight's story of the Pilgrim's Progress.
The Cosmopolitan Building, 7th Street near Olive, downtown L.A. A mess of granite thrown together by an architect who must have taken his degree on the rock pile at Leavenworth. It's up on the 3rd floor, room 308, right next to a credit dentist who shares his office with a collection agency. On the other side, there's a school for models, and the Lion's got sore eyes trying to see through that cloudy glass. International Detective Bureau, Anthony J. Lyon, President. He's also Vice President, Secretary, Treasurer. I work for him. Well, the office isn't much, but there's enough elbow room for a client to write a check. I went to the office Friday night about 5:20, answering the Lion's call. He was sitting behind the desk, sucking on a quarter cigar. He looked real pleased, like a fat lady locked in a cream puff factory.
Man I know had a baby. Plumber named Broman or Groman or something like that.
Mazel tov.
Cancel any arrangements you got for the night. I got something for you to do. Got your car?
In the lot.
Gas it up. You're taking a trip.
Where to?
Calabasas. A man wants to see you.
I got no friends out there.
Friend of mine named Hendricks. He counts his money with an adding machine, and his finger's always swollen.
What's the problem?
I don't know. He didn't say. He just called and told me to send out a man.
How much did he give you for a retainer?
When an important man like Hendricks calls, you don't insult him by asking for money.
Oh, stop it, will you? You're the kind of guy who'd steal pennies out of parking meters.
That's enough, Regan.
If one of them turned up empty, you'd sue the city.
Here's the Hendricks address. Now get out there.
All right.
Regan.
Yeah?
Remember, do a good job, and I'll give you Thanksgiving off, and I'll pay you.
With what, cranberries? Well, I headed out Beverly and then up through Hollywood. You know, it's only November, but Santa Claus is breaking out all over the boulevard. I fought my way over Cahuenga Pass, and by the time I was dodging station wagons on Ventura, it was dark. Calabasas is a place with a couple of service stations, a hot dog stand, and a few road signs full of buckshot. The Hendricks place turned out to be about 5 miles down a road that the Indians built for hauling firewater. I guess they couldn't keep the cork in. But the house itself was strictly prohibition stuff. A big pile of slate roof and leaded windows. It was dark and lonesome. I figured somebody had their holidays mixed.
Hiya, Pilgrim!
It was a big fat guy. He was holding a 6-foot gun in the shape of a straightened-out tuba. He came closer, and I could see his hat. It was a high one with a buckle on it. He was dressed in black, and he had buckles all over him. I figured that I'd been eating too much Quaker Oats.
What's the matter, Pilgrim? A little shooting make you nervous?
That's a big gun there.
Shoots musket balls. Good for Indians.
Well, I'm no Indian.
Oh, I wasn't aiming at you.
Well, that gun wouldn't know the difference.
It's a blunderbuss. Great weapon.
Is it?
I'll show you. So you prop it up on a crutch.
You keep fooling with that thing, and we'll both need one.
Now, let's be quiet. Load the barrels. Lots of powder.
Look, why don't you give that thing back to the museum?
See, that's it. It's more powder. Gotta use lots of this black powder.
Buster, you need black coffee. Come on, give me that thing before it blows up in your face. You broke a window.
Oh, it's all right. It was only the attic.
You live here?
Of course not, Pilgrim. I'm Miles Standish.
Well, where's the rest of the party?
All inside, talking to John Holden.
Yeah, sure they
Oh, you just think I'm kidding, don't you? Pilgrim, you just haven't got the Mayflower spirit.
No, you drank it all.
It's just cider. Nothing better on a cold New England night.
Thanksgiving's not for a week. Come on, get off it.
Hark.
What's the matter? Put that down.
I'm not going to shoot him. He's a friendly type.
Brother Regan?
Yeah?
If thou wilt follow me, please.
Oh, you too, huh?
I beg your pardon?
Okay.
Well, so long, Pilgrim.
Yeah, keep your powder dry, Standy.
I'll see you on Plymouth Rock.
Okay, this way, Brother Regan.
Now, look, Sunshine, you work here.
My name is Phelps.
Why don't you lock that guy up?
I'd be outnumbered, sir. 21 Pilgrim.
Bad winter. They make you wear those corduroy knickers?
Knee breeches, sir. It was Priscilla's idea.
You need a union.
Need more shapely legs. Through here.
Well, it's quite a place you got.
Well, looks better without the decorations, sir.
Yeah. How do you keep from stepping on these pumpkins?
It's only when they use them for bowling that it's difficult.
Come on, fill me in. What's this all about?
Thanksgiving, sir. 1621. Okay, this room here, sir. Go right in.
Okay.
Shut the door. Shut it.
Mr. Hendricks around?
He's not here. Come over, sit down.
Who are you, Priscilla?
Don't. Please don't say another word of that silly rigmarole or I'll start screaming.
Yeah, well, I could use a little yell myself.
I'm Agnes. I'm Mrs. Hendricks. Or Agnes.
It doesn't make any difference.
Does to my friends. Didn't I say sit down?
Yes, you did, and I didn't. So you don't like the party, huh?
I'm not much of a Puritan, Mr. Regan.
Well, that Great Dane says the masquerade was your idea.
Phelps is stupid. This goes on all weekend, Mr. Regan. It's called a turkey shoot.
Oh, so that's it. Who gets the bird?
The Pilgrim fathers, my husband's friends. They ought to be shot, every one of them.
Yeah, well, I'm not from the SPCA.
Oh, wait a minute, Mr. Regan. I like you.
That's not the point.
I'll bore you.
Your husband might.
Him. He's crazy, Mr. Regan. Crazy as the things he does. Shooting, drinking, spending money.
A hard life.
I don't know how I stood it for as long as I have. My lawyer says I'm the most patient woman in the world.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the conversation, Miss Hendricks.
Why did my husband send for you?
I don't know.
Yes, you do. You do know. Tell me.
I don't know.
Please. You don't realize what kind of a man my husband can be.
I never met him.
You don't know how much I need help. How lonely I am.
Well, where is he?
Tell you if you promise to come back to me.
No, I'll write you a letter.
He's out in the shed, other side of the patio.
Thanks.
I wouldn't act this way if I weren't so frightened. You don't know what it is to be frightened all the time.
No, but I'm learning.
I wish you'd stick around, Mr. Regan.
Well, thanks, Miss Hendricks, but the pin feathers are a little sharp. Mrs. Hendricks went back to her worrying, and I wound my way through the house looking for the back entrance. My legs got tired before it finally showed on the other side of the pantry. It poured out into a flagstone patio as big as the Palladium. A walk took me to a shed. It was a two-story redwood place that must have made a loud noise on the cash register, and alongside, fenced in with chicken wire, was a whole population of turkeys. Well, I went into the shed. There was a little round-faced guy with pink skin was leaning over a barrel of cider. He wore a blue silk smoking jacket with gold initials EH on the pocket. When he caught my footsteps, his head bobbed up, and he gave me a deep look like he was trying to see the back of my eyeball.
Yes?
I'm Regan, International Detective Bureau.
Oh, I've been expecting you. I'm Hendricks.
Yeah, no. Why the fireworks?
Huh? Oh! Miles Standish and his blunderbuss, huh? Just having fun. It's a party, you know. Big party we're having here.
Yeah, well, the neighbors will complain.
Ah, neighbors. None for miles around. That's why I like it out here. Have trouble finding me?
You ought to put up signs.
Signs? Glass of cider, Regan? Carefully. What?
I'm not thirsty.
Yeah. That's not what it's for. Strong kind. Oh, go on. Thanksgiving soon. Get in the spirit.
No, I can hold out till Thursday.
Suit yourself. Excuse me. Yeah. It's going to be quite a party here, you know.
Your wife's got a different version.
Oh, you spoke to her?
Yeah.
You were told to come out here to see me?
I got sidetracked.
It's not good for a man in your position.
All right, Hendricks, why am I here?
What'd she say to you?
I forgot.
Regan, you're making me angry.
Now, look, mister, you didn't get me out here to make a pilgrim out of me.
No, of course not. Fine woman, Mrs. Hendricks. We've been married for years, you know, happily. Fine little woman. Just she makes me a little nervous at times.
You like the sound of guns going off?
She shouldn't get so excited. Boys just having a little fun. It's only once a year. What's wrong with that?
Come on, now, what's the job?
Didn't the line tell you?
He said you would.
Oh, well, nothing to be so mysterious about. I've just got a package I want you to take to. Here it is. That's it.
You got me all the way out here to play escort to that bird?
Well, I just want to be friendly. Yeah. Now, go on. It's a long way back to L.A., and you want to be there for Thanksgiving.
What's the difference? I got the turkey. I can celebrate any time. 60 miles to do a delivery job on a dead bird. Well, I wandered back to my car, and I listened to the crickets and the gunshots try to outdo each other. And then I dumped the turkey into the back seat, and I started the car down the drive. I just noted around the bend when the headlights caught a pair of buckled shoes and black knee breeches. Miles Standish was lying face down in the dirt, and there was a wet shine on his side. He was breathing hard. The blunderbuss was lying beside him, and I figured that he blew out the wrong end. I would have gone for the Hendricks phone and the doctor, but I got a good look at the holes in him, and I headed for a hospital instead. The blunderbuss may have been kicking up a fuss, but the holes in Miles Standish were 20th century, about the size of a .32. Well, I turned him over to an emergency hospital, and I put a call into the sheriff's office. I gave the story to Lieutenant Robinson, and then I headed back toward town. At the Lyons place, the lights were still on, so I figured he didn't have company. I rapped on the door, and he flung it open before the echo could die away. He had a carving knife in one hand, and he was wearing an apron. His eyes were big, and he had an eager look like a college couple on Mulholland Drive.
Regan, you're back.
Oh, now that takes a big brain.
I've been waiting for you. You know, I had a chance to go to a classy party tonight. Russian caviar and champagne and flavors to all the guests. You know why I didn't go?
You lost your crash suit, huh?
I said to myself, is it fair to go out and have a good time while my employee is working real hard for international detectives?
The answer came out yes, but the party was called off.
Well, as a matter of fact, it was. But I wouldn't have gone anyway. Where is it?
Where's what?
The package from Hendricks.
Now, you can change your plans, big shot. You're getting a bundle of trouble instead.
What do you mean?
Turkeys aren't the only thing they're knocking off out on that ranch.
Huh?
Somebody's handy with a .32, and he's found a target.
You've been drinking?
Check the county emergency hospital. They'll show you the holes.
I send you out on a simple little job, and you come back with a crazy story about a shooting. You're out of your mind.
Now, listen, you, there's a big smell out in Calabasas.
What about my turkey?
The sheriff's office are going to have a lot of questions. You got the answers?
I don't know anything. I was miles away.
Well, then find out something. Check into the guy who shot. Find out who he is, what he does, and what he was doing out at Hendricks.
Where you going?
Scratch around in the Hendricks closet. They tell different stories about their wedded bliss.
Hey, Regan.
Yeah?
Where's my turkey?
It's too rich for your blood, Fatso. Stick to chicken. Well, I left him standing there with his apron hanging out. Miles Standish might get enough wind through that extra hole to say who shot him, but more likely not. Anyway, with the bucket load he had, he would have sworn it was the last of the Mohicans. But there was an angle to that Hendricks woman, even if it didn't show. So I walked up the street to where my car was nuzzling a lamppost, and the turkey and I were just going to wake up a newspaper office, only something changed my mind. A newspaper. It was wrapped around a bundle, and the bundle was under a guy's arm, and the arm was shutting the door of my car. Good evening, Pop.
Hi.
Going somewhere?
Sure. Find a place to sleep, that's all.
Want a cigarette?
Say, I don't mind if I do. Thought you was a bull for a minute. You mind if I take two?
No, help yourself.
My brother smokes too. Not much in the streets these days.
Yeah, it's bad all over.
Something ought to be done.
Stick around, Pop.
No, Sonny. You give me smokes. I don't hit you for cash. It's a rule I got.
I'll make the touch.
What's that?
What's in the newspaper?
Russia.
Inside.
It's a funny paper.
Yeah, sure.
Well, now take it easy, boss. The guy's got a right to his privacy.
You weren't sleeping in my car.
Oh, so that's it. Huh? Yours, huh? Small world, ain't it?
Yeah, come on, let's unwrap.
Now, it's Thanksgiving, Mac. Ain't you heard of Thanksgiving?
I'm going to plug my ears. Give.
Now, please, Mac, show me the spirit. Once in my life, both drumsticks.
Now, stop it, you're breaking my heart.
I mean it, Mac. Let me have it. I'll break the wishbone for you, Sonny. I will. You ain't got no use for all that meat, have you? Oh, you have, huh? Oh, so long, Mac.
Hey, wait a minute. Hold it.
No, I let go of my arm.
That was a pretty dance, but you should have changed your shoes.
What's that?
You didn't get those buckles in the bloodline.
Oh.
Now, come on, change the record. Who are you?
That's none of your business. Let go.
I said talk.
I will not.
You're from the Hendricks place, aren't you? You're from the... Oh.
Thank you, Phelps.
That's all right. Got the bird?
Sure. Let's go.
Yeah. Nighty-night, Pilgrim.
You are listening the Pilgrim's Progress, tonight's adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator. Commissions are still available in the Army Nurse Corps. Graduate registered nurses between the ages of 21 and 45 may qualify for service with this fine organization. If you are interested in joining the Army Nurse Corps and believe you qualify for a commission, apply to the Adjutant General, Washington, D.C. And now, back to Jeff Regan, Investigator, and the story of the Pilgrim's Progress.
Well, none of it made sense. The Lions sent me out to pick up a turkey on the Hendricks Ranch in Calabasas, and the Mr. and Mrs. were having an old-fashioned turkey shoot, and all the guests carried blunderbusses and dressed like pilgrims. Only it wasn't just the turkeys who were acting as targets. One of the pilgrims ended up with some .32 caliber holes in them. And then the Hendricks lackey and a buddy shoved a gun at me and stole the lion's bird. Well, I picked myself up and I went home. A heavy man was doing a heist job in my icebox. He was pouring himself a glass of milk to wash down a sandwich he was munching on.
Hi, Regan.
You're right ahead. Help yourself.
Yeah, thanks. I didn't know how long I was going to have to wait, and I was getting hungry.
There's a restaurant just up the block.
I like it better this way, homemade. Fix you a sandwich? Pretty good deviled ham.
Come on, let's close the box and open your mouth, buddy.
Why not? We had a date, remember? Robinson, Sheriff's Office.
That's what I figured.
You don't mind me coming in like this, do you?
What if I did?
I'd leave. Sanctity of the home, you know. You can throw me out even though I got a badge.
Let's cut away the fat, mister. What do you want?
Answers to a couple of questions. What were you doing at the Hendricks place?
Picking up a turkey?
Well, that's a new one.
Now, look, you ask him. I'll answer him. Never mind the feature page.
How long have you known the Hendricks?
Never met him before.
Wrong answer.
What do you mean?
We found this out at the Hendricks house. A page torn out of the yellow directory with a red circle around International Detective.
Now, that doesn't say a thing.
Maybe yes, maybe no. I'm still scratching around.
It'll ruin your manicure.
You know, Regan, you don't seem to realize the seriousness of this. That pilgrim you dragged in died.
Well, I figured.
We don't like unsolved murders messing up our record books.
Well, then you're wasting your time here.
I got lots of it. I don't come up for pension for 12 more years. What was that pilgrim's name?
He gave me Miles Standish.
Sounds like a fake.
Well, don't count on it. I once knew a John Smith.
Give me the real name.
I don't have it.
All right. He's an out-of-town boy, but we'll track him down. Now, straighten out something for me, Regan. How long did you say you knew the Hendricks?
Now, look, I gave this to you once. Nothing's changed.
How come we find a $5,000 check in that joker's pocket made out to cash and signed by Hendricks? Go ahead, answer. Just don't make a date. You may not be available.
Yeah?
Mr. Regan, this is Mrs. Hendricks. I must see you right away.
Who did you say?
Mrs. Hendricks, you remember?
Charlie? No, there's no Charlie here. You must have the wrong number.
Sort of annoying, isn't it, Regan, when you get a wrong number late at night?
Well, it happened.
Sure it does. Happened to me once.
Anything else you want?
Another deviled ham sandwich?
Kitchen's closed.
Pretty rotten hospitality.
Well, you weren't asked.
Okay, I gotta move anyway. See you later, Regan. Keep the mud off your shoes.
CR3408.
Hello?
Mrs. Hendricks, this is Regan.
I just called you.
Well, I couldn't talk. What do you want?
Can you come out, Mr. Regan? Right away.
You still lonely?
Things aren't going well.
Well, murder's like that.
I've got to talk to somebody. Won't you please come?
Give me a reason.
I can tell you some things now I couldn't mention before.
Like why your husband wrote a $5,000 check to the dead man?
Check? But there must be some mistake.
What do you mean?
My husband couldn't write a check that large. He doesn't have any money of his own. It's all in my name.
All right. Put a lantern in the window, lady. I'll need some light. Well, I headed out there fast. But when I raised the racket with a brass knocker, nothing happened. I tried a window, and a couple of scratches later, I was in the hall. The place looked empty, like the Rose Bowl on January 2nd. I found Miss Hendricks' room, where I talked to her, and stepped inside. The decorations were different.
Sheriff's Office. Robinson.
This is Regan. I got something for you.
It better be good.
You're going into overtime.
What do you mean?
Bring some boys out to the Hendricks place with a wet rag. Somebody blew out Mr. Hendricks' fuse. Well, I backed out of the room, and I made it for the bar trying to turn up a bottle. In the corner, something else turned up instead, another dead body. The turkey Phelps and his buddy had stolen from me. Somebody real eager had done a carving job on it before it was even cooked. They'd torn it apart like they were looking for something. Well, it was morning before the sheriff's boys cleaned up the Hendricks mess and we got back to town. Robinson had a few more questions, but I was still short on the answers. Ballistics had one, though. Same gun did the job on both Miles Standish and Hendricks. That's all. Homicide was getting places in a hurry, like a snail hauling a piano. Well, the Lion was waiting for me outside the sheriff's office, and he pulled me to the side. His eyes were lit up like a pinball machine, and you could tell he'd caught the scent of a greenback.
They tricked you okay, Regan?
Good enough.
No rough stuff.
Well, nothing that shows, no.
Think it, we're in luck. I've been turning up things. We've been playing the wrong horse.
Well, that figures you're good at picking losers.
Hendricks is a piker, a social climber.
He's a dead one.
I'll send him flowers, but I'm telling you, he could only write checks for 5G.
With a big bounce.
Somebody else in this thing can write bigger ones.
Well, let me guess who.
Mrs. Hendricks, that's who. I tell you, Regan, it pays to keep up your connection.
How high can she go?
The sky is below sea level.
What else you got?
Standish is a phony moniker.
That's grammar school.
Real name Jeffrey Kelly, age 42. He's a wholesale jeweler. He had a little business with Mrs. H. $250,000 worth.
That's going to run up his taxes.
He can handle it.
What did he do for her?
I drew a blank, but he deposited her certified check in the bank yesterday morning.
Mm-hmm. How does Phelps figure?
I don't know.
Well, who's the little man in the big overcoat?
I can't do everything. You got to do some work, too.
Yeah, sure.
Now, find Mrs. Hendricks. Offer her the services of international detective at our usual nominal rate, but don't underplay it. Now, get busy.
Where are you going?
Home to bed. A man's got to get some sleep.
Well, the time was ticking out, but the game wasn't over yet. I figured to have a fast finish, and the Lion had a pretty good idea about catching some shut-eye. So I moved to the office and to stretch out on the couch. But through the glass, I could see there was a light on. Company was inside.
Crestview 2045. Phelps, no luck. I looked all over. I told you, I tore the place apart. Nothing's here. I'm trying my best. Stop harping. Oh, well, it must be someplace else. Okay, right away.
Leave a nickel, Buster.
Huh? Oh, Regan.
You looking for something?
You, Pilgrim.
What else?
Plymouth Rock.
Come on, punk, level it.
Right, coax me.
All right, because you've been crying for this. Now, flatten out. Well, it felt good to watch the big guy fall. He folded in like a steeple in an earthquake. When his head bounced on the Lion's carpet, it figured he was due for a long sleep, so I went through his pockets. Ticket stubs from the prize fight, the gun, and a pocket knife I dumped into the safe. It was a pass to the Dons game on November 25th. He must have swiped that from his boss, so I filed that in the Lion's desk for future reference. But this guy Phelps had taken orders from somebody besides Hendricks. I just heard him do it on the phone. So when I turned up an old envelope with 832 North Palm stretched in the back, I crossed my fingers. He'd been calling a Crestview number, and the phone book said that I had a lead. North Palm was in the Crestview Exchange area. So I called for the cops to sweep up Brother Phelps, and I climbed back onto my broomstick. I drove out through Beverly Hills. I wound up in front of a big Spanish house with potted $10 bills on the driveway. There was a new Nash sticking out of the garage, and I walked around to take a look. But honest John had beat me to it.
Who's there?
Now stick around. I want to talk to you.
Stand back. Stand back.
You like cars, don't you? Maybe you want a hot rod.
Oh, you don't. Get away from me.
Hey. Well, it was the little turkey fan that I'd last seen in an overcoat. Phelps' buddy. He took out of there like a cow in deer season, so I let him go. No license. Well, I took a look around the car he'd been sniffing, but nothing showed except the registration. It said Mrs. Agnes Hendricks. I went to the house and rang the doorbell, and she answered.
Oh, what's you? Mr. Regan.
All right, I'll ask myself in.
Yes, come in.
What are you expecting, John Alden?
No, I'm glad to see you.
You know, I don't like girls who break dates.
Oh, that.
Yeah, that's one thing.
I couldn't help it. I couldn't wait for you to come all the way to Calabasas.
You got impatient on account of a body in the house.
You saw him?
Yeah, after I tripped over him in your room.
I didn't do it.
Did I say you did?
You've got to believe me.
Relax. I look like a jury. You got multiple vision.
Oh, Mr. Regan, I was so frightened. I didn't know which way to turn.
We've been through all that woman driver routine. You don't like your husband. You wanted to get rid of him.
But only in Reno.
All right, now let's get back to page 1. You gave 250 G's to a jeweler named Kelly. You bought a rock.
What?
A rock, Plymouth Rock. It's a diamond. It's got to be.
Well,
why'd you do it? Who'd you buy it for?
Myself. My lawyer said I should get it for myself, that's all.
He likes you pretty, huh?
No, it was a community property thing. He said I could keep my husband from knowing how much money I had when he asked for a divorce settlement.
Only hubby got wind of the deal.
I guess so.
Well, you're making sense. Only why did he write a check to Kelly?
Well, it was a small one. It must have been for a paste imitation, don't you think?
That's not my business. Keep dealing.
I mean, maybe he planned on switching them and getting my real one.
Yeah, that's been done.
He actually did it. Because all through this, there's been a diamond in the place where I always keep it.
All right, you got a strong boy, Phelps. Had him out looking for the real diamond.
What?
And the other guy, the old man, was out in the garage.
No.
Phelps tore up my office, phoned here to you.
Mr. Regan.
Now, look, there's been 2 guys killed.
Mr. Regan.
Good evening, Pilgrim.
Where's your overcoat?
Stand still, please.
Yeah, my foot's in the track.
Mr. Regan, this is John
Oh, can it, will you? I've seen him act one part already.
That's true. Mine is the only name that's real. This is my house, Mr. Regan.
Lawyer?
Yes, I came here to see him, Mr. Regan. I just got here before you
Be
did.
quiet, Agnes.
Well, I got it all now.
You won't keep it.
Phelps took his orders from you.
It's a waste of testimony.
You started this. Spotted the gem switch. Figured to cash in.
You're losing your chip.
Shut up, will you? I got aces. Hendricks outfoxed you. You never found the real diamond.
5 in the hand draws blood.
Mr. Alden, don't.
Now, you keep out of this, Agnes.
She's not in it. You are.
That's all, Regan.
All right, come on, drop it. Drop it.
Go there.
I guess I hit him with the paste one.
Huh?
Look, the diamond. It broke.
Yeah.
It was just luck. I have the other one, too. I thought Alden was honest. I came to tell him I found it in my husband's cider.
Well, that tears it. Come on, Priscilla. That docks the Mayflower. Well, the whole thing folded in like an elephant on a pogo stick. Yeah, the lawyer did it all right, both of them. When he spotted what Hendricks was up to with that diamond switch, he moved in, but not for his client. The jeweler, Miles Standish, alias Kelly, got bumped because he was the only one who could tell the real diamond from a phony. But Hendricks got wise to the muscle act, and so he got shot. Well, the lion was real happy the way it worked out. That dame with the nerves wrote him a check. So he invited me out to Thanksgiving dinner. He offered me any part of the turkey that I wanted. I told him, but I got it anyway.
Jack Webb is featured as Jeff Regan with Herb Butterfield as Anthony J. Lyon. It's CBS at the same time next week for more hard-boiled action and mystery with Jeff Regan, Investigator. Written by Larry Roman and Jackson Gillis. Produced by Sterling Tracy. Featured in tonight's story were Mary Lansing, Marvin Miller, Paul Freese, and Paul DeBug. Original music for this program is by Milton Charles. Bob Stevenson speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Around Dodge City and in the territory on West, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad, the story of the violence that moved west with young America, and the story of a man who moved with it. I'm that man, Matt Dillon, United States Marshal. The first man they look for and the last they want to meet. It's a chancy job, and it makes a man watchful and a little lonely.
Mr. Dillon, I bet this proves out to be the hottest day of the whole year.
Yeah, I think you're right, Chester.
I stuffed my hat full of grass, but the sun's still frying my brain.
Well, that won't take long now. The Cape Ranch is just over this ridge, isn't it, Hank?
Yeah. So I'm sorry to bring you out in this weather, Marshal. Back home, we never bothered the law of something like this. Always settled it personal.
It works out better this way, Hank.
Well, seeing how Grover Cape feels about me, I mean, I reckon you heard how it was with me and Alma before him and her got married.
Now, you did the right thing coming to me with it, Hank.
I just thought it wouldn't happen again. I'd forget about it, Marshal, but it's the third time now. Doggone it, I can't afford that kind of a loss.
There's no reason why you should.
There's Kate right there to the barn, Mr. Jones. Don't see the boy around nowhere, so.
Sure hate to have to do this. You let me handle it. Hello, Grover.
How are you, Grover?
What do you think you're doing here, Jurgen? He's with me. I'm afraid it's not a social call this time, Grover. I got some business with your son.
Eddie?
Yeah. Is he here?
What kind of business can you have with a 12-year-old boy, Marshal?
Didn't you buy Eddie one of those light Winchester rifles a couple of years ago?
What if I did?
Yeah, it seems like he's been using that gun pretty freely. He's been shooting some of Hank's prize turkeys.
Who said so? I seen him do it last time. That's a lie. You watch your tongue. And you get off my property right now.
That's enough, both of you.
Marshal, there ain't a word of truth in it. My boy knows if he was to go do something like that, I'd whale the daylights out of him.
I suppose we talk to him about it.
There's nothing to talk about. Because some turkey farmer starts spreading lies around. I'm a patient man, Grover, but you stop that talk about lying. Then get off my property if you don't like it.
Easy now.
Grover? What's the matter?
Afternoon, Miss Kate.
Marshal? Thanks.
How are you, Alma? She's Mrs. Kate's turkey farmer, and don't you forget it. You go on back to the house, Alma. It don't concern you.
What do you mean? What is it, Marshal?
It seems young Eddie's been taking pot shots at Hank's turkey.
There ain't no truth in it, Alma. Now, you stay out of it.
Grover, let's see what the boy has to say. Huh?
I ain't going to have the law pushing my young'un around.
The law's not going to. I just want to talk to him. Now, where is he?
He ain't here. I sent him into town.
Grover, he...
Shut up.
I think maybe he came back without you knowing about it.
No, he didn't.
In fact, judging by the way that dog's sniffing around at the crack, I think maybe he's right there inside the barn listening to us.
No, he ain't. I tell you.
Grover, this is a matter of law, not a personal argument. Now, you quit stalling around and you call him out.
Fire and water are ancient enemies, but nowadays the battle between them affects every one of us, as forest fires endanger water supplies. How do burning trees affect the water supply? Fallen leaves and the roots of trees hold rainwater and melted snow water in the ground, and let it drain gradually downhill into streams and rivers. This same land, burned over, becomes eroded by wind and rain. When there is little rain, this land has no storage of water to feed streams, and city reservoirs go lower and lower. In other words, more than wood is lost when a forest burns. The damage strikes straight at you, at me, at every one of us. That's why it's so important for all of us to be careful of fire in wooded areas. 9 out of 10 forest fires are man-made and are thus preventable. When you're driving, walking, or picnicking in the woods, don't be one of the guilty who set the fires that waste America.
You gonna call your boy out, Grover?
I said he ain't in there.
All right. Eddie, come on out. I know you're in the barn there. I said come on out here.
I'm coming. Don't be too hard on him, Marshal.
He ain't done nothing, and the law's not going to touch him.
You're the one that told him. You told him you seen me there in the barn?
I didn't, Eddie.
You was going to, though. Only Paul stopped you. You're always doing something to get me in trouble.
I just tried to be a good mother to you.
You ain't my mom. You're never going to be.
Eddie.
Me and Paul had it all right here before you come.
Now, wait a minute, Eddie. Seems to me you got yourself into trouble. You were listening in there. Now, what about those turkeys?
I don't know nothing about it.
See what I told you? Eddie, I seen you do it. I was walking back up the draw, I heard the shots, and then I seen you ride off on that pony of yours. And you had your rifle. If I hadn't have been afoot, I'd have chased you and caught you right then.
I ain't been near your place.
Eddie, why do you think Hank would tell a story like that if it wasn't true?
I don't know nothing about it, Marshal.
Well, I've known Hank now for quite a while, and I never knew him to lie before. Now, why do you suppose he'd start with you?
I told you I don't know.
All right. Well, I guess I'll have to take you into town with us, Eddie.
You aiming to jail this boy just on somebody's face?
I'm not going to jail him, Grover. He can bunk in with Chester tonight, and we'll see what Judge Bent has to say about it in the morning.
You know why Jurgen made up this story, don't you? It's because of Alma here.
Grover, please.
He never could stand it because she picked me instead of him. Now he's trying to hit back at the boy to get him...
All right, Grover, you've said enough. Come on, Eddie, let's get started.
I don't want to go to jail.
Well, if you didn't do it, Eddie, you got nothing to worry about.
Just made it up like Paul said.
No? Well, why would he do that?
I don't know. Unless it's because I seen him come here when Paul was away. Eddie. Sure, he's come lots of times. He must know that I've seen him.
That's not true.
It is true. That's why he's trying to get me out of the way because he knows I've seen him.
It's not true, Grover. I haven't seen Hank since before we got married.
Grover, that's a fact, and I'll swear to it on a Bible.
Eddie, was that true? What you said about him coming here?
Of course it was true, Paul.
All right. Jurgen, you better start wearing your gun.
Oh, Ma. Good to see you.
Hello, Kitty. Doc.
Well, hello, man.
Sit down. Have a beer with us.
Well, thank you.
Sam, bring Matt a glass of beer, will you?
Sure, Miss Kitty. I heard you threw the Keats boy in jail this afternoon.
Oh, you heard wrong, Doc. I got Chester keeping an eye on him, that's all.
Oh, I did hear wrong.
And I've been talking to Eddie most of the afternoon and evening, and either he's telling the truth or he's the best doggone liar I ever saw.
Hey, youngsters are sometimes.
Doc, I wonder if you'd come over in the morning and try to talk to him, huh?
He said, well, I don't know anything about kids.
Well, you ought to, Doc. You delivered plenty of them.
Yeah, but not when they're 12 years old.
Well, a doctor ought to know something about human nature.
So should a lawman. All right, then I'll talk to him, but I won't guarantee anything. Yeah, here's your beer, Mark.
Oh, thank you.
Matt, Chester told me the boy says his stepmother's been seeing Hank Jurgen at home or Grover's away.
Yeah, that's what kicked up all the trouble.
Oh.
What do you think, Kitty? Alma worked here. You knew her.
I don't know, Matt. She and Hank were real close. And then she quit work suddenly and married Grover. Since then, I haven't heard anything.
I can see Hank lying to protect Alma, and yet Eddie swears that every word of his story is true, that he didn't kill those turkeys, that he's seen Hank at the ranch. I don't know what to believe.
Wait a minute.
Huh?
How are you, Kitty?
Hello, Alma.
Doc.
Here in this case.
It's the first time I've been in the wrong branch since I quit and got married.
Well, it hasn't changed much, Alma.
Lots of other things have been.
Don't you want to sit down?
No, thanks. I don't have much time. Marshal, hi, Betty.
And he's still telling the same story, Miss Gates.
He ain't never liked me. Always talks about
how much better everything was before his ma died. I've tried every way I know how to.
Well,
Marshal, I was wondering, could I go over to the jail with you and try talking to him myself? You don't know what he's done, Marshal. I left Grover out there at the place with kissing and drinking and staring at the wall. He won't say a word to me. Won't even look at me. You walk down with me?
Sure, all right. Come on, Miss Cage. Let's go talk to him.
I'm sorry, Mr. Dillon, but he still won't come out. I could have dragged him, but I didn't figure you'd want to pass.
No, you did right, Chester. I'll go back and try to talk to him.
You sure he's a stubborn kid when he puts his mind to something?
Aren't you hungry, Eddie?
No.
You want to come up in the office with Chester and me?
Is she still there?
No. Your ma left. Crying.
She ain't my ma.
Oh, she's your stepma, though. Same thing. What? Why wouldn't you talk to her?
I don't ever want to see her again.
You know, Eddie, you said a pretty bad thing about her.
It's true.
Well, maybe so, but now, when a fellow says something like that about a woman, I think he ought to give her a chance to explain.
I don't want to see her.
Now, I can understand when a fellow's had a fine ma and he's lost her. It's kind of hard for him to get used to another woman trying to take her place, but he ought to try and not go around carrying a chip on his shoulder.
She hates me. She wants to turn towards me.
The thing is, though, a story like that hurts more than just one person. Hurts your pa and Hank Jurgens. And you know something, in the end, it'll hurt you more than anybody else.
I told you I've seen him lots of times.
I can understand, too, telling a lie to get out of trouble. I did that myself a few times when I was a boy. You know why I quit doing that?
Why?
Because I found out that it felt worse to go around knowing that I'd lied than it did to admit the truth and take my punishment.
I didn't lie.
Now, killing a neighbor's turkey's a bad thing, all right, and your pa might strap you for it, maybe give you extra chores to help pay for them, but, well, that's not as bad as knowing every minute of the day that you've hurt 3 people without any cause. And you hurt yourself, too.
I said I wasn't lying.
Yeah. Well, in that case, you got nothing on your mind, so there's nothing to worry about, right?
Yeah.
You're still not hungry, huh?
No.
All right, then you better go to bed and get some sleep.
Marshal?
Yeah? Yeah, what is it, Eddie?
I shot them turkeys. And I didn't see Mr. Jurgen over at our place, not once. I'm sorry. I knew Pa would be awful mad. I'm sorry, Marshal.
That's all right, Eddie. I'm just glad you told the truth.
Mr. Dillon?
Yeah, what is it, Chester?
Somebody just seen Grover Case in town. He's drunk and he's looking for Hank.
Well,
he says he's going to kill him. know?
Hank Jurgen may not even be in town, Chester.
Well, Grover told somebody he'd stop at Hank's place and he wasn't home.
I hope he's not. Wait a minute. Over there in Delmonico's, there's Hank. Come on.
Well, he must not have heard Grover looking for him. Would he be sitting in there eating for peaceful life?
Yeah, I guess not.
Well, Marshal, want to have yourself some supper?
Hank, we've been looking for you.
What for?
Because Capes is in town and he's looking for you, too.
Well, I figured he would. Sooner or later. I started wearing my gun.
And I guess it won't come to that now. The boy admitted that he was lying.
Oh, I'm glad for Alma's sake. But if I'd known it was going to lead to what it did, Mark, I'd have buried them dang turkeys and forgot about it.
Well, I'll talk to Grover, see if he's willing to make good for the law.
Hey,
Get away.
Hey, he's out there in the street.
Stay back, Chester.
Come on out, Jurgen. You ain't a fierce dude.
Give me your gun.
Oh, no, it's my fight, Marshal. I'm going outside. What you doing?
Here, Chester. Take his gun and keep him covered and don't let him move. Now, if you went out there, Hank, you wouldn't get a chance to talk to him. Now, you stay put. Grover, hold your fire. Matt Dillon.
Matter with Jurgen. Is she scared? You stay out of this, Marshal. Between me and him. He's in there. I seen him. How won't he come out?
Because Chester's holding a gun on him. I'm going to take yours now.
Stay back, Marshal. My fight ain't with you.
You haven't got to fight. Your boy just admitted his whole story was a lie from start to finish.
You're making that
I'm not going to argue with you. Now, give me that gun. You better start coming to your senses, Grover.
You're saying the boy made it all up about Hank and Alma?
Yeah. He's gone over to the jail and talked to him. You better figure on paying for Joe's window there, along with them turkeys.
I should have known the young'un was lying to get out of trouble.
Marshal,
Oh.
I heard the pop, Marshal. Either of them.
Oh. Grover.
Oh, there was no harm done in this case.
He came back to the jail and saw Eddie. He told me.
I reckon we better go get him, Alma, and head on up to the place.
You go, Grover. I'm staying in town a while. Till I decide what I'm going to do.
Gonna do? You're coming home. That's what you're gonna do.
No, Grover. You believed what he said about me. Just somebody's word against me, and you believed it.
Alma.
I'm not going with you now. Maybe not ever. I'll have to study it out.
Now, wait a minute.
Good night, gentlemen.
Alma. Alma, you come back here. You can't do this to me, Marshal. She's my wife. She belongs at home. Marshal, you gotta help me.
I'm sorry, Grover. This is something the law's got nothing to do with. You're on your own. Gunsmoke. Produced and directed by Norman McDonald, stars William Conrad as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal. The story was specially written for Gunsmoke by Les Touchfield, with editorial supervision by John Meston. Featured in the cast were Lawrence Dobkin, Vic Perrin, Gene Bates, and Richard Beer. Charlie Bear is Chester, Howard McNear is Doc, and Georgia Ellis is Kitty. This is George Walsh inviting you to join us again next week for another story on Gunsmoke.
A man's memory plays dramatic tricks in the city hospital story you'll hear today on the CBS Radio Network.
The National Broadcasting Company presents The Adventures of Sam Spade, Detective.
for a detective license, sir.
Here's I, sweetheart.
Oh, I was worried to death. Just awful. Glass all over the floor, holes in the wall.
That was just business going on as usual during altercations, F.
Well, what was it all about, sir?
They tried, Effie, just tried to pluck my feathers and cook my goose.
On Thanksgiving, too. How could they?
Oh, they were a mean lot.
Are you all right?
Hale and hearty, every giblet in place and not a feather ruffled. Did you have a nice Thanksgiving?
Oh, it was heavenly. Mama had a turkey dinner, sage dressing, cranberry sauce, candy jams.
Hard cider?
A little.
Come clean, Effie?
Well, I had 2 glasses. Everyone was there. Cousin Gertie, Dwight, Mrs. Floss. I was disappointed when you didn't show up, Sam. Did you have Thanksgiving dinner?
Sure.
Sir?
At the Helping Hand Rescue Mission, where there's plenty of free parking and never a cover charge. For further details, consult the report which I will presently be down to dictate on a tasty chronicle of foul play. The Terrified Turkey Caper.
For NBC, William Spear, radio's outstanding producer-director of mystery and crime drama, brings you the greatest private detective of them all in The Adventures of Sam Spade.
Sam!
Oh, you were waiting for me.
Having Thanksgiving dinner at a rescue mission, and Mama cooked it perfectly wonderful.
Thank your mother for me, F. Tell her I'll be over to break wishbones with her tonight. And to atone for my social indifferences, here's a little something I brought for you.
Oh, Sam! You shouldn't have. It's beautiful. What is it?
A blunderbuss.
A blunder what?
Bus. As in step to the rear of.
Oh. Well, what does it do?
Shoots, F. It's a gun. Our founding fathers used it in foraging for feathered food when they settled this abundant continent.
And it's mine.
To do with what you will.
Where's the gun?
Pencil boy?
Yes, sir. Who gave it to
Pad
me?
open?
Oh, yes, but I don't know.
Knees crossed?
Did you mean the founding father?
Don't peek. Date, November 24th, 1950. To Detective Lieutenant I.C. Kelsey, Homicide Detail, San Francisco Police. From Samuel Spade, license number 137596. Subject, Turkey. Dear Kelsey, this was a big week for the cranberry pickers, the butchers, the sage makers, and the stomach pill people. But for private detectives, it was strictly from hunger. My office door opened only twice a day. Once to let me in and once to let me out. And when on Wednesday I heard a knock on the door, I went into a paroxysm of delight. Come in! Come in! Come in! Entrez-vous! Entrez-vous! Arise! When I ran out of languages, I got up from behind the desk, walked to the door, and opened it. Standing there was a small, middle-aged man with a pink, bald head. His blue serge suit needed pressing, and he was nervously fingering a strawberry birthmark under his left ear.
Mr. Samuel Spade?
I am.
May I have a moment?
You may have several, but not in the corridor. It's not in my lease.
Oh, I'll come in.
Good. Well?
You'll have to excuse me, Mr. Spade. I've had so few dealings with private detectives. I find it hard to begin.
Well.
Perhaps I shouldn't have come at all. Goodbye.
No, wait a minute. Maybe I can help you.
Well, you see, what's the use? You won't believe me. Nobody does. I'd really better...
Oh, now, wait. I'll believe you. All I ask is a chance. Now, let's start with your name.
Oh, what, my name?
Yes.
Yes, my name. To begin with, you won't believe that.
Oh.
But I can verify it. Yes, I can. It's on the registration book of the old Colony Hotel, in the 1943 phone book, and on my old driver's license.
Well, I'll have to know it before I can verify it.
Yes, of course you will. It's Tom.
Well, now that's not so hard to believe.
Oh, you haven't heard the rest of it. It's Tom Turkey. You see, I told you wouldn't believe it. I'd better go.
No, let me be the first to believe you. Now, Mr. Tom, what's your problem?
Oh, dear, that's even harder to explain.
Well, now that I don't believe. But take a breath and jump into it.
Breath, yes. My name's Tom Turkey, and they're going to kill me for Thanksgiving.
Well, I had asked for it, and I had gotten it. And I sat back wondering who had gone to all the trouble to play this funny joke on me. I was looking at my hand to see if there was any itching powder on it where he'd shaken it when
My phone rang. I lifted the receiver, swung around in my swivel, and gazed out onto the street. It was Al Cuccio calling, a private eye whose reputation was shadier than a mushroom cellar.
Hiya, Spade.
Al.
Haven't seen much of you lately, Spade. You have to get together.
Yeah, well, so long.
Wait, I'll tell you why I called. I've had a pest in my office, keeps coming back. Thinks he's a turkey somebody wants to dress. I brushed him, but your name came up, and I just wanted to warn you. He might be in to see you.
I'm confused, Al. I never knew you to turn your back on a buck.
Oh, I don't want any of this one. His buttons are loose. My advice to you is to bounce him.
Well, we've never traded advice before, Cuccio. Why now?
Well, after all, we're in the same racket. If we can't help each other...
Oh, sure, Al, sure. I appreciate it.
Give me a ring. We've got to get together sometime.
Yeah, when I get a free night, we'll Jimmy parking meter.
Yeah, we... Huh? Oh, yeah. Parking meters. See you later, Spade.
I turned back to the desk, and what I saw in front of me was an empty chair. Tom Turkey had taken wing. I got up and walked to the window, and a minute later, I saw him come out of the building downstairs and start to cross the street. And then I saw something else. A large 4-ton truck was tearing down the street, picking up speed. Instinctively, I shouted a warning. And at the last second, Tom Turkey scrambled from in front of the truck and disappeared into the alleyway. The truck roared up the street, and on its side was printed in gold letters, Haynes, you drive it. There was nothing to say it wasn't coincidence, this near mishap, but somehow I found myself intrigued and wanting to hear more of the little guy's story. He said the Old Colony Hotel. On the way, I stopped at the library, found an old 1943 phone book, and looked. He was listed. Thomas Turkey, it said. Out of curiosity, I rang the number.
Hello?
I wonder if you can help me. I'm inquiring about a Mr. Turkey.
Turkey. This ain't his number no more.
I know.
Haven't had any calls for him for years. Who knows?
Yeah, I know.
I knew a woman named Rabbit once. Mrs. Rabbit.
About Turkey, could you remember what he looked like?
I don't. Hey, Nanny, what Turkey look like?
Huh? Oh.
Yeah. Small man, around 50. Nice fellow, Manny says.
Strawberry under his left ear?
Strawberry under his left ear, Manny? Yeah, strawberry under his left ear.
Well, thank you, madam, for your information, and thanks to Manny.
Well, you're welcome, but I don't know what you're going to do with it. Old man Turkey's dead. Been dead for years.
Curiouser and curiouser, I thought. They had described the man who came to my office 20 minutes ago, and now he'd been dead for years. I continued on to the Old Colony Hotel. Room, 75 cents, it said. Tom's room is 114.
Who is it?
Sam Spade.
Oh, come in, Mr. Spade. I'm sorry I ran away. I didn't think you really believed me.
Well, I'm not sure I do yet. Tell me, was that truck an accident?
Oh, I don't think so, no. They made 3 attempts before to kill me. Somebody tried to push me in front of a train, and then a wheelchair full of cement dropped off a building and just missed me, and then I was shot at.
So who were they, and why would they want to kill you?
I don't know. I just don't know.
Look, let's tack.
Tack?
Tack. I dialed your old phone number, and the people who answered said you're dead.
Oh, a lot of people think I'm dead.
Yeah. Look, do you still want me to work for you?
Oh, yes, please.
Well, you'll have to tell me more then. I can't...
I guess I'd better tell you everything. Oh, it's hard to talk about, Mr. Spade. It's not easy to admit to someone you've been a foolish man. You see, I just turned 50. I was quite tired of the life I'd led. Proper, dull, and unfruitful, accepting money. My business was wearing, and so was my wife, Henrietta.
This has a traditional ring.
Anyway, to make it short, I decided to run away. One day I drove to work. I parked my car in the middle of the Bay Bridge where the suicide note left it and disappeared.
Where did you go?
Oh, all over the world. I took a job on a boat. I did. On a boat. And then I settled in Sao Paulo, Brazil, under another name.
Now you're back. Why?
Well, maybe I got lonely. Maybe I got wiser. Maybe I felt I paid enough for my mistakes. Let's just say I'm back. I want to be with Henrietta.
Have you seen her?
I checked into this hotel and wrote her a letter saying I wasn't dead. I was back in San Francisco, and I wanted to come back to her if she still would have me. But I told her I wouldn't bother her unless she wanted to see me, that she could contact me here. That was a week ago.
And you haven't heard from her?
No, and almost right away these attempts on my life began.
I see. All right, what's her address?
3118 Monroe. Oh, she's taken her maiden name again. Black. Henrietta Black.
Well, come on, let's go.
No, I'm not going to see her until she asks me.
Well, look, you're going to my apartment. Nobody will bother you there.
And you're going to see Henrietta?
That's right.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Spade. You do believe me.
think I'm really ready to face the world again now.
I deposited Tom in my apartment with instructions to open the door for no one but me, and then I proceeded to 3118 Monroe in a high-rent district. I was ushered through a comely portico by a Japanese maid who told me to wait in a study heavy with mahogany. In a moment, two people came in. The woman wore a black dress, silver pendant, flat shoes, and a complexion the color of apple meat. She was Miss Henrietta Black and/or Mrs. Tom Turkey. The man turned out to be Leander Luce, the lady's attorney, business manager, and canasta partner.
You say you have something important to discuss with me, Mr. Spade?
I do?
I hope you don't mind my asking Mr. Luce to be here.
Not at all.
Well,
Mrs. Turkey, I just talked to your husband, Tom. Mr. Spade, if you please. I say something?
a rather feeble attempt at comedy, Mr. Spade.
Well, I wasn't trying for a laugh. You are Mrs. Turkey, aren't you?
I was.
You undoubtedly still are.
I'd expected to hear another one of these cruel jokes about my name.
At Thanksgiving time, Mr. Spade, someone was always going to stuff Tom, baste him, dress him, slice him.
This season, they're going to kill him.
They are not going to kill him. He is already dead.
He's not dead, Mrs. Turkey, and you should not.
I should.
Yes, he sent you a letter saying he was back in San Francisco and wanted to see you.
Mr. Spade, this has gone absolutely far enough.
Not quite. What about the letter?
I know of no such letter.
I see. Well, thank you for your time. I'm sorry I bothered.
Oh, you used bad judgment in coming in the first place.
Yes, maybe you're right. There was falsehood in this someplace, Lieutenant, and it stuck out like a fat girl in slack. The only thing to do was to go back to my apartment, get Tom Turkey, and confront Mrs. T with her husband in the flesh. But when I got back to my apartment building, I spotted in rapid succession, 1, an ambulance, 2, a police car, and upstairs, outside my half-opened apartment door, I spotted 3, you.
I've been expecting you.
What's going on, Kelsey?
Yeah, serious, Sam, serious.
Who's that bald-headed man moving around the apartment?
That's McCracken, the new medical examiner. Checking a stiff on your rug.
I stepped around you, Lieutenant, and pushed the door all the way open. I saw McCracken kneeling over the body and a couple of men from homicide taking photos. I moved into the room feeling nothing good. A little guy had given me a job, and while I was yakking with his wife, somebody got to him. And in my apartment, where I'd stashed him. McCracken stood up, and I looked down at the body. Then I looked again. Who I saw wasn't Tom Turkey at all. It was the late Private Eye, Al Cuccio. You are listening to the weekly adventure of radio's most famous detective, Sam Spade. You Friday fans of Sam Spade, there's mystery on Saturday evening, too, on NBC. Tomorrow, the man called X sets out on another mission of danger and intrigue in some far-off corner of the earth. Herbert Marshall stars as the man called X, a man without a name who travels the world over protecting his country's interests. He lives by his wits and his business is danger. He's the man called X, tomorrow over most NBC stations. For top Sunday listening, it's another broadcast of The Big Show on NBC. This Sunday, your stars include Fred Allen, Jack Carson, Mindy Carson, Ed Archie Gardner, Ed Wynn, and many, many more. And Tallulah is your MC as usual. This Sunday, it's The Big Show on NBC. And now back to the terrified turkey caper, tonight's adventure with Sam Spade. While the men from homicide were taking pictures, etc., you and I, Lieutenant, were going round and round on the question, if I didn't kill the man found in my room, who did? And you were sufficiently impressed with my insult, Kelsey, not to hold me for the murder. We bowed to each other, and I left. Thinking back to the truck that had almost run Turkey down, I went to the Haynes U Drive truck rental garage.
What do you want?
I'm a detective. Could you give me a list of names for everybody who rented a truck from you during the past few days?
Sure.
He handed me a big registration book, and I read every name for the past week. For the first 5 days, they all seemed to be nice, normal, abnormal names. And then, under the rentals for the day before, was the name of John Smith. John had given his address as 7200 Kearney. And I happen to know that Kearney only goes up to 2000. The dispatcher said that Smith had returned the truck about 3 hours before, and he remembered him as an ugly, heavy-set, and rough-voiced character who looked like an ex-longshoreman. They had already washed the truck, so the fingerprints were all out up.
Well, it's Mr. Spade again.
Look, I'd like to speak with Mrs. Miss Black, if you don't mind.
Come in. Come in.
Thank you.
This way, into the den.
Right.
Well, I was sure you'd look into this affair a little more and realize that it was just a blind alley. A hoax of some kind.
Where's Miss Black?
Oh, she's upstairs, lying down. The whole affair has upset her, and she asked not to be disturbed. I think the wisest course of action for you, Mr. Spade, is just to let the matter drop.
You can't let a murder just drop, Mr. Lewis. The police wouldn't hear of it.
Huh? Murder? Who?
An unfranked private detective named Al Cuccio.
Well, what does this have to do with Henrietta Black?
Al Cuccio called me earlier today and said that Tom Turkey was a crackpot, a little man with delusions. He tried to talk me off taking his case.
He sounds like a perceiving man.
Well, he didn't perceive ending up in my apartment with a bullet in his head.
Well, that's too bad, but I still...
I left Tom Turkey in my apartment for safekeeping, and when I returned, he was gone and Cuccio was dead.
Well, that explains itself, obviously. This detective knew that Tom Turkey was a phony, and Turkey killed him.
It can figure that way, and a number of other ways.
Mr. Spade, I have no desire to sit here trading subtleties with you. As yet, no one has demonstrated that the real Tom Turkey actually exists, alive. Now, until you do have something more concrete and less mythological, Miss Black requests that you do not come around opening up old wounds.
You've made an eloquent point. Just tell me one thing.
If I can.
When did Tom Turkey disappear? I mean, what month, what day?
It was, 1943, November. But I'm not sure of the exact day. I think it was in the third week.
Could it have been on Thanksgiving?
Very possibly, very possibly.
I returned thoughtfully to my office and did a little rapid mental arithmetic and came up with the number 7. From November 23rd, 1943 to November 23rd, 1950 was 7 years to the day. And I pondered this. What did the number 7 mean to the life or death of Tom Turkey? I had just hit upon the answer and was crying Eureka when my office door opened, unlocked, and a visitor came in unannounced. He was ugly, heavy-set, and looked like an ex-longshoreman. I waited to see if the voice checked.
You, Spade?
Who shall I say is calling?
Yeah, Captain John Smith. And here's my calling card.
The first bullet grazed my shoulder and tore the padding out of my coat. The second bullet hit the water cooler and it crashed over, water and all on top of me. There, the third bullet hit. I wasn't sure at the time because darkness came rushing through my head like a freight train. When I opened my eyes again, I expected to see St. Peter checking my ID card. But all I saw were the dust balls under my desk and a fly bathing himself in a pool of water spreading slowly over the floor. There was blood on my hand, but it came from a glass cut. I was in shambles, but alive. Captain John Smith had shoved off, obviously thinking his bullets had done their work.
Homicide, Lieutenant Kelsey.
Sam, Kelsey, have you found anything more about Tom Turkey?
Nothing, Sam. Frankly, I'm beginning to wonder if there is such a guy.
Well, clever, Kelsey. A few minutes ago, a gorilla by the name, believe it or not, of Captain John Smith just tried to kill me in my office.
Oh, go on, Sam. I find it hard to think.
You find it hard to think, period.
Really, Sam? Did you get him?
No, but my office is a wreck, and there's a hole blasted in my wall big enough to put a basketball in.
Well, what did he use, a bazooka?
I figured dum-dum bullets.
Dum-dum? Well, that's illegal, ain't it?
Kelsey, doesn't it strike you as significant that every attempt on Turkey's life has been vicious, as if someone not only wanted to kill him, but also mutilate him?
Yeah, now that you mention it. Somebody probably wanted to make identification difficult.
Even dead, they didn't want anybody to know who he was. Now, listen carefully, Kelsey. This is real deep. Tom Turkey disappeared on Thanksgiving of 1943. A person has to be missing 7 years before he can be legally dead and his insurance collected. Now, if someone had Turkey insured, they could collect the day after this Thanksgiving, if Turkey didn't show up before.
You mean somebody's trying to kill him for the insurance?
I would say so, Kelsey. I would say so. Now, hurry up and find them. When I put down the phone, I heard a heavy pounding. For a minute, I thought it was in my head, until I turned to face the door, and standing there was a small pilgrim with bandy legs in black stockings, pantaloons, white-collared coat, and stovepipe hat.
Hallelujah!
He wore silver buckles, and what he was pounding on the floor was an 18th century blunderbuss.
Hallelujah! Have I got the right place?
Oh, offhand, I'd say so. If you're looking for Captain John Smith, he just left. Pocahontas is expected any minute.
Now, don't you go trying to confuse me. I'm too thirsty.
What's on your mind?
Well, I'm looking for a fellow named Dan, oh, I'm so thirsty I forgot.
Sam Spade?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Oh, you broke your water bottle, huh? Yeah.
Good. That stuff's poison anyway. Hallelujah. Yeah. Say, do you happen to have any hard cider around?
Fresh out.
Oh. And I'm kind of thirsty, you know. Any type of corn squeezins?
Here, try this, Dad.
Yeah.
Good, huh?
Oh.
You like that, huh? Oh.
Pardon me. But before we go, do you suppose we could have a little something for the road? It's bitter cold.
I gave him a little, but not too much, because I didn't want him to lose his way. He walked me right down Market Street so he could look in the liquor store windows. He said it gave him a comfortable feeling to know there was so much good in the world. And then we turned right a few blocks until we came to the Helping Hand Mission. Across its gray front, a banner promised special holiday food and comfort to the unfortunate. And on the street in front of it, there was a brass band sending out signals to the fraternity that any minute the great feast of Thanksgiving would begin. The band members and other volunteer workers were all dressed as pilgrims, a quaint conceit. My pilgrim led me to a dark corner of the clubroom, and sitting there unhappily was none other than Tom Turkey.
Hello, Mr. Spade.
Oh, hello, Tom. What happened to my apartment? Why did you run away?
Well, I was afraid. You told me not to answer the door until you came back. Well, somebody knocked on the door and said it was you, so I opened it, and two men came in.
Tell me, was one of them Al Kuchel?
Yes, the detective. The other man was a big, ugly-looking fellow, and when they saw I was alone, they started arguing.
About what?
Well, the detective said that now that he'd brought the ugly man there, he wanted his money.
Yeah?
The ugly man pulled a gun, and they started to fight. Oh, dear, I slipped out the door, and when I was halfway downstairs, I heard a shot and kept on running.
Well, Al Kuchel is dead.
Oh, my. I thought so. This was the only place I could think of to hide. Oh, when Henrietta finds out I've been mixed up in a murder, she'll never take me back.
Henrietta. Hey, tell me, did your wife ever have any insurance on you?
Oh, before I ran away, she did. A $50,000 policy, but... Oh, that would have lapsed by now.
Maybe. Did it have a suicide clause in it?
A suicide?
Yes.
Well, no. No, it didn't. I remember.
Yeah, you'd like to talk to Henrietta, wouldn't you? All right, here's your phone number. Call her up and tell her where you are.
Oh, dear, I don't think I could. I'm too frightened.
You've got to do something to help yourself. If you don't, by midnight, you might be a cold turkey.
Oh.
I'm sorry, just slipped out.
All right, I'll do it.
Well, he went and made the call. When he returned, he said that a man had answered who said Henrietta would come down and pick Tom up. He didn't want to wait, but I sat on him. The pilgrim brought us a dish of turkey dinner, saying he couldn't stand food himself, and we munched a spell. In a little while, a limousine pulled up in front of the mission with someone in back whom I couldn't see. The chauffeur stepped out and came in inquiring for Tom Turkey. It was Captain John Smith himself. When he saw me, a look of shocked surprise came over his unhandsome face. Hoping to catch him off balance, I gave at him. It was the liveliest thing that has happened at the Helping Hand Mission in years, and we had a good house, too. Money was even changing hands.
Personal notice, danger's my stock and trade. If the job's too tough for you to handle, you've got a job for me, George Valentine. Write full details. Standard Oil Company of California, on behalf of independent Chevron gas stations and standard stations throughout the West, invites you to Let George Do It. Cause for Thanksgiving, another adventure of George Valentine.
Hello?
Dear Mr. Valentine.
What? Hello?
Quiet. I'm 10 years old.
Lieutenant Riley, is that you?
Well, it's not Tom Turkey. Listen, my friend.
You sure it's not? What's that 10-year-old stuff? Hey, you've been jumping the gun on the cranberry sauce?
All right. I'll say it straight. I'm phoning on behalf of a little boy 10 years old.
Well, that's better.
No, it's not. It's worse. Said little boy could no more write you a letter than he could hope to joke. I doubt if he can write.
What's the matter?
He can't talk either.
Huh?
You heard me. I said he can't talk. Oh, I don't mean there's anything wrong with him, or maybe there is. I don't know. But look, Valentine, get over here, will you, right away to my house?
Well, sure.
But I warn you, friend, this little boy never heard of Thanksgiving. If you're going to help him, you'd better bring your brass knuckles.
Where is he, Lieutenant?
Oh, Mrs. Riley's got him in there trying to coax him to eat. But the only time he'll take a bite is when she's turned her back.
Oh, is he? Where'd you get him?
One of the boys in my department picked him up early this morning at 3 a.m. on the waterfront, the warehouse lane.
Oh, I see. A little on the tough side, huh?
Oh, they all are down there, like a bunch of dirty seagulls and scavengers running loose. We can't even find out who he belongs to.
Maybe nobody. And only 10 years old.
Listen, this sergeant of mine in a squad car nearly runs him down. See, the kid was racing across the empty street, not even looking. Well, Mike gets out to help, naturally. The kid wasn't hurt, but he swung on him. He tried to get away, scared to death, and clawed and scratched. And then Mike realized the kid wasn't talking. Not a sound.
Now, that's the part I don't get. Clear it up, will you, Riley?
Well, Mike couldn't even find out where he lives, so he brought him in. My friends, that boy hasn't spoken one single solitary word since. Hardly a noise out of him. Oh, except maybe to cry a little. Only he stops that when you look at him.
But, Lieutenant, he's probably a mute.
Oh, 2 doctors were out from juvenile hall to look at him. One of them said the kid's faking, but they both agree there's nothing wrong with his vocal cords.
What's the other doctor say?
Psychic shock.
Oh, you mean he can't talk because of something that happened to him?
Well, they're not sure. They say it'll take time to be sure. I've arranged for the hall to take him over to try to find his family, if there is one, to feed him and...
But that takes time, like you say, days, weeks.
Now you get it, pal, and the doc says it'll help him a lot better if we could work fast. Because the most likely thing is that last night he saw something. Was mixed up in something that scared the blue blazes out of him, and he was running away.
A little before 3 a.m. last night, I saw something.
Yeah, but what? Nothing happened down there. Nothing was reported. My department can't just go bursting into a... Huh? Well, hello there, Sonny. Hello. You finally ate something, did you?
Big eye. He listens, but he doesn't listen.
Yeah. Come on in here, son. Come on. These are friends of mine, see? Ah, now, wait a minute. Don't jump like that. I'm not going to fight you. Come on in here and...
Riley, what time is it?
Huh?
1:45.
Oh, good. Hey, look, kid, how about coming with me? I've got an extra ticket to the big football game. Well, I'll get you to meet Big Mike Marilewski, the All-American. Maybe you can even sit on the bench with the team, huh?
George, he's just more frightened. He's crying.
You see? You can't get him interested in anything.
But a boy in a football game? I think the doctor's...
Oh, it's Thanksgiving. I mean, a kid belongs in somebody's home on Thanksgiving. Well, are you going to just sit there, Valentine?
I know, Softy. I know. We've got work to do and fast. Come on, Brooksy, take the kid's hand. We're going to go straight at this. At the waterfront front. Warehouse Lane. Great place.
Plenty of freight is tied up, but no people.
Ship chambers. You must have spent some time around there, haven't you, kid? How about the candy store?
You're wasting your time, George. It just seems to get more and more tense.
Yeah. Well, this is where he was picked up, right here.
Oh, relax, son. Don't just sit there
Running
and look...
from right to left, so he must have come from this way. Okay, let's move on a little. Cobblestones by the empty warehouse, huh?
George, look at him. This direction, right? George, look out for that boy in the street.
He's driving on the right side of the street, Jeff, no.
Lovely neighborhood. I wonder if that boy would know anything about our friend here.
Hey, that's an idea. Wait a second. Hey, you, Shorty.
Oh, you want to argue about it? Yeah, Jeff knows.
Come here, you.
Hey, let go of me.
Hey, Shorty. Shorty, wait.
George, come
here. I'm having an awful time holding.
Oh, look, kid, stop it, will
He wants to
you?
run too, George.
Yeah, now easy, that's better. Yeah, he'll get away from us if I try to catch up with that shorty. Look, Brooksy, look, there's a settlement house over there at Murphy's. You know him. Take the kid over there and wait for me, will you?
Sure, George. Maybe they'll know something about
I
it.
doubt it. 3 a.m. last night. But farther out there on the pier is where it happened, whatever it was. So me, I'm going to take it on foot by myself.
Hey, look out!
All right, Shorty, I got you this time.
Get your paws off your nose!
Cut it out. Now, cut it out. I just want to ask you something. Ah. You know that other kid I had back in the car there? You know his name?
I never seen him before. I ain't done nothing.
What's your name?
I don't know. Let go.
You kids running loose out here by the ships last night?
I was up on the moon eating cheese. Let me go.
Oh, brother, great tribe, aren't you? Stick together. Never tell anybody anything. Oh, now, look, kid, I'm not a cop or anything. I just want to find...
Hang on to him. Hang on to him there. Don't let him loose.
Ah. Oh, no, you don't, Shorty. I got you.
Don't let him loose. There we are. Hold him and let me go through his pockets.
Hey, wait a minute there, Skipper. What are you talking
Box
about?
of cigars. Left him out on deck. Stolen.
I didn't steal
He
them.
hasn't got anything.
No. He's too big anyway. You're not the one.
Not what? Go on, Shorty. Get out of here. You know help.
I told you, jerk nose. Yeah.
Water rats. Same the world all over. All the same. Good cigars, too. First mate, give them to me so I'd let him stay uptown.
Wait a minute, Skipper. Wait a minute. Were you looking for another kid?
No. Yes.
Something stolen last night, you mean, huh? During the night?
Cigars? No, it's afternoon, a few minutes ago. Come up like rats, so full of horses. I tell you, it's awful. Marseille, it was my last port. Same thing, same the world over. Nobody stops them, nobody can stop them.
Hey, wait a minute, Skipper. This your ship tied up here?
Yeah, leaky old tub full of potatoes. Frenchmen like potatoes.
Uh-huh. Looks about ready to sail. Were you here last night?
What are you peddling? Dope, punch boards, cheap liquor?
No, listen, will you? You have trouble with kids getting aboard, huh?
Characters like you in every port, too. Dock loafers. Always got a deal. Sure, I'm trouble. That's customs pier watchmen. Nobody can stop them. See those big rat guards? Right over them, like monkeys.
Uh-huh. Did some kids get aboard your ship last night?
No. Now stop pestering me.
Are you sure? Around 3 a.m.?
Fight was on the pier, not the ship.
What fight?
Oh, that's the pier watchman. He's the one spreading the story. A couple of bums, I guess. I don't know. My old deck watch was sound asleep, of course.
You didn't see it?
No. Yeah, I don't know. Woke me up. I yelled, shut up, out of my porthole, went back to sleep.
Hello there, Skipper. Wait. I'm so glad to catch you.
Huh?
Oh, what now? A sailor comes ashore.
I'm just going to take a minute. It's about a woman, you see. Oh, that I see, and so nice. But right now, I want to
Get what I mean? Dock loafers all trying to sell something. Now it's telephone numbers. Go on, Baldy, get out of here.
Wait a minute. I've seen this guy before.
Yeah? Well, it's not mutual. Skip, if you just listen
His
to
name's Salvori, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I've seen him in lineups. Are you around here last night?
I beg your pardon.
Oh, it's a great neighborhood. Salvori, the big operator. Last trip he was here selling raffle tickets for a free-wheeled automobile.
Oh, but Skipper, listen.
Thanksgiving, they say. Well, thanks and good night. You pester him. I'm going backwards.
Yeah.
Hey.
Look at that, will you? Is that what you wanted to see us about, Salvori? That crowd down at the pier?
Something's happening.
No. I got an deal to make.
Come on, let's take a look.
Afternoon, friend.
What's going on?
Don't suppose you have 50 cents or so? See, no pal of mine. See, he was going to buy me Thanksgiving dinner, you see.
Never mind that. What are those men doing down by the water?
Fishing, sort of. 50 cents is about all it would take, though, you see. Now, this old pal of mine, he would have spent $5, mince pie and the works, That's a last night.
Hey, down there, hey, you!
Now, listen, Buster, did you say last night?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Hey, sailor!
Now, it seems to me that... Hey, look out there!
Salvori!
Well, he left in a hurry, didn't he?
Body, Skipper! Got a body! What? Just fishing him out. Guy floating with a knife in him.
Guy float. Yeah, with a knife.
Holy smoke.
Yeah, see, that's what I tell you. You see, a pal of mine, he was going to buy me a Thanksgiving dinner, see? Only instead, it looks like he got in a fight about 3 a.m. last night, I figure. Yeah, got murdered, see? Tell me, how's about the 50 cents?
We'll return to tonight's adventure of George Valentine in just a moment. When new RPM motor oil was developed in the laboratory, it was subjected to the most rigidly controlled tests that modern research could devise, and it proved tops, the oil that doubles engine life between major overhauls due to lubrication. The next question was, would it live up to these tests in your car? Tonight you'll hear the answer from the crews of 2 actual test cars in the heart of downtown San Francisco. Following is a special transcription made during the road test period. We switch you to test unit number 1 and research supervisor Carl Watson in San Francisco.
We are making rather slow progress heading west along Market Street. Test unit number 2 is behind us in the traffic. We're driving under the same kind of stop-and-go conditions that you do, the toughest kind on engine wear. It's our job to see if new RPM will back up our laboratory findings. I'll switch you now to research engineer Bob Burchell in unit number 2. He'll tell you about these special cars and the data we are recording from the instruments. Go ahead, Bob.
This is Bob Burchell. The engines in this test car and test unit number 1 ahead of us are both equipped with irradiated piston rings, just like those in our laboratory test engine. They also have Geiger counters attached so that we can hear and record wear as it actually takes place. We are making a comparison test. Test Unit 1 is using new RPM, but in this car, we have a well-known conventional oil in the crankcase. It is one of the best premium-type oils. Naturally, I can't reveal its brand name. Now, I'll hold the microphone closer to the Geiger counter, which detects minute particles of metal as they wear off the irradiated piston ring. Hear that rapid clicking? That means a comparatively high rate of engine wear. Now I'll switch you back to Carl Watson for a comparison with new RPM motor oil. Come in, test unit number 1.
This is Watson again. You hear that slow click of the Geiger counter? That is an outstanding low wear rate count. It's new RPM under the same conditions as the premium type oil you heard about a moment ago. Day in and day out, mile after mile, the counters have clicked off the same story. The results we got in the laboratory tests on new RPM motor oil are checking out on the road.
Proved in the laboratory, supported in severe road service. That's new RPM motor oil. The oil that cuts in half the wear rate of critical engine parts, doubles engine life between major overhauls due to lubrication. Try it. Sold with a money-back guarantee of satisfaction at independent Chevron gas stations and standard stations, where they say and mean, we take better care of your car. And now, back to tonight's adventure of George Valentine, a boy 10 years old who's been scared to death, who either can't or won't talk. Well, if your name is George Valentine, you begin to understand the reason when you see the neighborhood in which he was picked up by the police. You understand a good deal more when you see that the body of a man has been fished out of the water off the pier. Yes, now it's certainly a case for Lieutenant Riley.
Oh, but what a case. They don't get solved around here, my friend. They just happen.
Okay, Riley. Did your boys pick up that bum, the guy who sniffed?
Oh, he won't know anything. Nobody does. The name of the corpse is Lefty Sims.
Well, you seem to know something.
Well, everybody knew him. He's a common thief, that's all. Few big jobs, but nothing to steal down here. He usually worked the city. This wasn't his territory.
Your doc says the time's about right. Been dead since last night, around 3 or 4, maybe. Killed and then tossed in the water. What about the pier watchman?
He covers 5 warehouses. How could he see anything? And everybody off duty for the holiday.
Hey, wait a minute.
Huh?
Riley, what's this stuff?
Where the fight happened? It's a spot of blood, I figure.
No, look closer. Powder. Little pieces of broken glass.
What? Hey, here's some more of it.
Yeah. Oh, Doctor.
Huh? Yeah, Doc, come over here, will you?
Yeah, sure, Lieutenant.
You thinking what I am, Riley?
Yeah.
What is it?
Hey, here, take a look. White powder. And on a pier where boats...
No, it's not.
Huh?
Talking about dope, aren't you?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
False alarm, huh, Doc? Well, it might explain why there was a fight, what was going on out here.
Something of value. Yes, of course. Smuggling, you think, huh? Peddling, or...
Yes, I'll do the thinking, Doc. You
myosin, perhaps. Something like that. I can run a test.
my.
Valuable. Didn't I say that? Drug of some kind. Cure people instead of making them sick. Worth a lot more than dope, too. Easier to market.
Yeah, same thing. Only more in the big time.
Did that watchman say there were any kids on the pier last night?
Valentine, I'm trying to get the doc here to talk English.
Did the watchman see any kids?
No.
Okay, so long.
Wish I could help you, Miss Brooks.
It's all right, Mr. Murphy. Come on, son.
The settlement house here is pretty badly undermanned. The cleaning woman will be back tomorrow. She might know something about the boy here. But in this neighborhood...
Thanks again. Come on, Sonny. Car's parked over this way.
Brooksy!
Well, it's about time.
Come on, get out of the street, you and the kid.
What?
Never mind, any place. Here, duck in the alley.
What?
In this neighborhood, Angel, I don't want to...
Who was that?
I don't know. Packing crates you can't see. He's gone now.
George, what's happened? What's going on?
Simple, Brooksy. Nice, simple case. My guess is the kid here was an eyewitness to murder. It'll be a simple case if he isn't murdered. Oh, kid, please talk. Please tell me, will you? What did you see last night? Look, nobody's going to hurt you. I won't let him. But you must have seen things like this plenty of times before, kid. I don't mean murder, but you grew up in a tough place. And you're not going to do anybody any good if you just...
Yes, he just cried. George, I'm taking him home. You can solve your own fancy waterfront murders.
Okay, I'll leave him alone. But which one are you covering for, kid? Only a few men around that pier last night. Which one is that important to you? All right, maybe you've given me the answer at that, without talking.
Says you. You admitted you saw your old pal Lefty, didn't you, before he was murdered?
I tell you.
Come on, Riley, along the deck here.
Now, look, I promised me a nice Thanksgiving dinner, you see, Lefty did, see? Come past walking up to the pier and never come back.
But didn't he say who he was coming out to meet? Didn't he?
Here we are, Riley. Let's go in here. Hey, Skipper, this your cabin?
What? Oh, no, mine's forward a ways. It's all right, the owner's cabin. Nobody ever uses it.
Just want a place to talk.
Already said all I'm going to say.
Come on, you two, Skipper. The name is Stogue, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. Here's the other one. Bring him in here, Sergeant.
Let go, man. Let go, Mr. Salvori. Now I have to stand rats on my ship, eh?
Picked him up in the neighborhood, Skipper.
That's all for now, Sergeant. What about the kid, Valentine?
Oh, he's all right, Riley. I left him in my car out on the street.
So because my name is Salvori, you think...
You were around here last night, too, weren't you?
Always around. That's stock loafers with deals.
Yeah, but don't try to cover up so much, Skipper.
What? Now, listen, all of you. We can't find anybody else with a chance of being out here last night but you three.
I was on my ship. Talk to this peddler.
I said don't cover so much. Salvori's a friend of yours.
Sure, everybody's a Salvori's friend.
Except the law. Now, look, this is a smuggle case.
A what? Not on my ship. I've never brought it.
Lefty, the man who was killed, knew his way around the city. Salvori, you're the big waterfront middleman. And, Captain, you've got a boat.
See what I mean? Cops, they got brains.
Enough to spot an ideal setup for smuggling. Captain Stogue, you bring it in. Salvori picks it up, gets it through customs, and Lefty fitted in someplace in the city.
I think you're crazy.
Somebody was waiting a little while ago to waylay Miss Brooks and a kid who was an eyewitness.
Brooks?
Skipper, you're too fat to run down an alley like he did. Sure, I heard his steps. Sniffy just shuffles. So tag, Salvori, you're it. Because now I know why you ran the first time when we saw the body. It's what proves you guys work together.
No, I know you're crazy.
Because on the pier earlier, you came up yelling to the skipper something about a woman. Well, the woman must have been Miss Brooks. You'd seen her with a boy. The witness the two of you have been trying to find. Sure, Skipper, you were looking for boys when I first met you, too, weren't you?
My cigars. That's all, my cigars.
Never mind, Salvori. The kid out there is going to give us the whole story, and a lot straighter than you ever would. Because I finally figured out his whole story.
I never been mixed up in no smuggle. Sure, and never in a fight or used a knife. Why did you do it? Lefty try a double cross on you, too? You're under arrest for murder, Salvori.
Come on, I'll take him out for you, Riley.
Let go.
You take the other two.
But I'm not mixed up in this.
Material witness. And accessory for you, Captain.
No, please, no.
Come on, out the door. Meet you on the pier, Riley. Here, you, Salvori. Wait a second.
Nobody's going to arrest me.
Salvori!
Grab him, you idiot! Hold it!
Come on, there he goes, down the plank.
Yeah, headed farther up on the pier, up toward the warehouse. Salvori!
Do you think the sergeant saw him?
Yeah, sure. He'll get him all right. Well, that was a nice act.
Yeah, good idea. Now, come on. Car's back the other way.
Yeah. Hey, did you notice that empty cabin on the ship?
Yeah.
Grease stains on the pillow? Yeah, empty, huh? I'll bet Salvori's even been traveling with the skipper. Sure, it's a smuggling ring, all right.
Still confused, aren't you, Riley?
Huh?
Oh, it was originally a smuggle, sure. But never mind. You'll never prove anything on this bunch unless you catch him in the act. And, Riley, we're going to do just that.
Well, it's the only car in the street.
Uh-huh.
We're close enough. But it's been 5 minutes already, Valentine. If this hunch of yours is going to pay off, it better
Gotta
start.
give us time to run the other way, hasn't he?
I don't see how you can...
Oh, no, I didn't expect a gun.
Come on, around the side of the building.
That's my car, Riley. I hope somebody's going to pay for it.
Hold it. There he is.
You're wasting your time, Skipper. The car is empty. You hear me? The kid's uptown. It was a trap, Skipper.
Be careful. He's got the corner of the building there to get behind.
The only one who'd stick his neck into our trap is the one who did the stabbing, right? The one who has to get rid of the kid, the witness. So we don't even need to ask the kid now, do we?
Look out! I got him.
Lieutenant Riley's still at the hospital, George. He says he'll get his confession from Captain Stoke, all right?
Keep it down, will you? The kid's in there. I'm trying out a system. We write each other notes. What about the smuggle stuff, those drugs? They searched the ship yet?
Yes, they've already found some drugs hidden, but I don't understand. What did you say, writing notes?
What don't you understand? How the smuggle worked? With a thief, a middleman, and a skipper involved? With drugs that couldn't be sold in this country except through the proper channels? That would sell for a fortune in Europe or on the black market?
Oh, you mean it was to be smuggled out of the country?
Mm-hmm, that's right, Brooksy. And Lefty, the guy who was killed, stole the drugs and delivered them last night. But he got a knife instead of a payoff. And the kid saw it.
George, you mean the boy talked? He's all right?
I guess he will be. See, I was afraid he was, well, maybe the skipper's son or something.
Yeah, I know. It's psychic shock, his refusal to talk.
But he's not. He's only known him for a few weeks. Kid didn't even know where he fitted into the plan until a few days ago.
Oh, George, for heaven's sake.
See, he doesn't have any parents, Brooksy. Just a waterfront kid. But not nearly as tough as he acts. What's missing in the smuggle setup? There's customs on the other side, you know. Who gets the goods into the other country, off the ship?
The boy? You mean he was a part of
Nobody can stop him all over the world. Up and down like monkeys. Perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you'd been with me, you should have noticed. Empty cabin on the ship with grease stains on a pillow. But Salvori is bald. We better buy some shampoo for that kid, by the way.
He was aboard that ship.
Yeah, he saw the captain go ashore to meet Salvori and Lefty. He saw the murder. Then he broke out and got away.
George, let me talk to him. This ridiculous business of writing notes...
Oh, sure, he'll talk now. Just been scared to death, that's all. And all he wanted was to be happy. He was expecting to be happier than he'd ever been before.
George, if you don't stop playing clairvoyant...
Well, the captain's the only one who could have brought the kid. Therefore, made him afraid, made him run ashore. Therefore, Brooksy, the skipper was it. Well, don't you remember how the kid reacted when I asked him to go to a football game? Just puzzled?
George, he is writing.
Sure he is. Gives me more time to look the words up in the dictionary.
Hello, mademoiselle.
Oh!
Sure, Angel. That's why I wouldn't talk before. He wants to stay in this country. Afraid we'd find him out. He's from Marseille. He's French.
Oui, Marseille. Mais j'aime l'Amérique. Et monsieur, il dit que... Hey!
Friends. Here, give me the pencil. And the dictionary. You think you could stand a turkey dinner, George?
Turkey? Oui.
You see? One language. I guess it is Thanksgiving, isn't it? And now we got a pilgrim on our hands, Angel. A hungry little pilgrim.
Tonight, earlier in the program, you heard how road tests jibed with laboratory results in the development of new RPM motor oil. You have been taken step by step along the path followed by our scientists in bringing you this new oil years ahead of its time. From the first survey to determine what the ideal motor oil should be, through the ultimate proof in an automobile engine, you've heard the new RPM story firsthand. Now discover it yourself, firsthand. It's sold with a money-back guarantee of satisfaction at standard stations and independent Chevron gas stations, where they say and mean, we take better care of your car. Tonight's adventure of George Valentine has been brought to you by Standard Oil Company of California on behalf of independent Chevron gas stations and standard stations throughout the West. Robert Daly is starred as George with Virginia Gregg as Brooksy. Let George Do It is written by David Victor and Jackson Gillis and directed by Don Clark. Wally Mayer is Lieutenant Riley. Alan Reed was heard as Stogue. Dick Ryan as Sniffy. Anthony Barrett as Salvori. Jeffrey Silver as Shorty. And Stephen Chase as the Doctor. The music is composed and presented by Eddie Dunstetter. Your announcer, John Heaston. Listen again next week, same time, same station, to Let George Do It. Your community chest helps care for homeless and neglected children in your own neighborhood. Community Chest Child Care Centers operate year-round. This year, make sure you give enough to your community chest to help all year. This is the Mutual Don Lee Broadcasting System.